So trial time. Before I go into the trial, of course, I have to take a guess as to who the culprit is. In this case, it seems like the situation is constrained by the evidence, that is constrained by the in-game logic, that Haruhiko accidentally killed himself. The Yuki mentions that he claims there are no bullets in any of the other guns that were strewn out on the floor, besides the one that had exploded. Apparently he found the chamber, or it was revolving, and that there were bullets in the chamber. Now this is very specific. If anybody has worked with a contemporary gun, you'll know that there's the actual bullet itself, there's the slug, then there's a shell, and then inside the shell there's a charge of black powder, and then there's an igniter that if you hit it hard enough with the hammer, it will ignite the black powder and the bullet will fly out of the shell. So they do it like that so you don't have to put the black powder in and the bullet separately. It may make it less accurate, because as far as I understand, back in the 1860s or so, the muskets were actually really, really inaccurate. But in my father's day, mankind figured out a way to make muskets extremely accurate. Actually the most accurate thing you could use. But I'm not super familiar with that, so don't take that as gospel. Anyway. It's the shell makes it so that you have your charge and your bullet all in one package. You just stick it in another shell, or if you want to fire again. That allows for being able to have something like a 6-shooter, where you don't have to repack every time you want to shoot one more bullet. When you say there's no bullets in the other guns, I presume he means there's no shells, right? And I presume that there would be in the chamber, or I don't know if it was revolving or not, because the pieces of the gun that exploded, there would be some unspent ammunition, and there would be at least one shell. We're presuming that what actually went through Haruhiko's chest wasn't actually a bullet, it was actually the lead, and not something else. We'll get to that. So if it is certain, it is written, that none of the other guns that could have been in the arsenal or were in the arsenal had any shells in them. I presume that's what Linju actually meant, if Linju understands how guns work. There's a shell left behind. Any bullets or shells. That the only gun that was shot was the one that exploded in Haruhiko's hand. And because it exploded in Haruhiko's hand, you would presume that he shot it. And exploded somehow by some ridiculous physics that doesn't make any sense, but makes the Danganronpa case work. The bullet went the wrong way. So you do with the gun exploding. And it went through his right chest, which you presume he would. You presume that he was holding the gun in his right hand. And he wasn't aiming it because he doesn't know how to shoot. So he wasn't actually holding it in front of his face. He was holding it kind of cocked to, kind of offset to the right in his body. That might be what Linju was thinking. You would not hold a gun like that. You would always hold a handgun with both hands. And you'd actually hold it right in front of your face. Actually, not really right in front of your face. It would be in front of your face with your arms extended. Because that way you can look down the sights. Right. Anyway. Yeah. Now, you could try to stretch things to try to work around this. One of them, I guess, you could be that someone emptied all the bullets out of the guns in post. But I don't think Liuchu would do that, because I would think if that were the case, he'd drop a clue. There would be bullets in the trash can or something. Now, that would be a really dumb move. If you were to unload the guns, then you would take the bullets out and put them back in the ammo trays. So you wouldn't have known. It would be hard to tell if the ammo was actually in the guns. I don't know what you would do with the shell, though. But you'd think if there was an empty shell left somewhere, that Lin-Ju would give you a clue, like in the evidence in the truth bullets, that there was a shell, right? That was found, and he didn't. Another thing is, you could say that somebody else with the gun that exploded in Haruhiko's hand shot Haruhiko, and then after that, Haruhiko, while after being shot, because as what's his face, Kinjo, not Kinji, Kinji's dead. Kinjo suspects that he didn't die instantly. It took him a while to die. And so he would somehow, after being shot, take the gun from the person who shot him, and then try to shoot back with the same gun. And then it exploded. And the explosion didn't put the bullet in, and that came from somewhere else. It just exploded in his hand. Possible? For some reason, I'm resistant to thinking along those lines. I somehow don't feel that. That doesn't feel right to me. That's not what they would be going for. But it's possible, I guess, if they decide to go that route. Because they kind of did the whole take the knife from her thing with Tomori and Akane. Like, it's been done. It really seems to me, though, that they're really trying to lock in the idea that Haruhiko loaded up a gun, pointed it at somebody, and then pulled the trigger. The hammer went off. The gun was, something happened where, like, that particular shell was like too stuck together, and instead of it shooting out the bullet, it detonated, blew up the gun, and then a piece of the gun went through his chest. Or the bullet somehow, by some weird, stupid physics, turned around and went through his chest. That doesn't make any sense. Maybe the shell went through his chest. I don't know. That's what it seems like they're really pushing. The problem with going with what they're really pushing is that this is chapter 4, and chapter 4 is supposed to be pretty twisty. But then again, in Trigger Happy Havoc, chapter 4 was pretty straightforward. So we go, what? Straightforward? Yeah, it was pretty obvious from the start that Sakura poisoned herself. Despite the number of red herrings, it was obvious that every red herring was a red herring. And it's similar to this in that there's a locked room. I'm noticing that Lin-Ju is kind of doing these like parallels between this. Like, he's doing like variations on Trigger Happy Havoc, right? He's doing variations on a theme. He's just coming with all new stuff. He's taking a new take on the old concepts. Now, we also know that Otori witnessed this happen. So if Otori did not shoot Haruhiko, then, and even if he did, well, okay, the gun exploded in his hand anyway, so it doesn't matter even if he didn't, but he could have. Otori shot Haruhiko. Otori witnessed the gun explode in Haruhiko's hand. So he was there in the room when it happened, right? And he's also like all super nervous, like when Yuki was holding the gun, like Yuki was going to shoot him, which means he's got some sort of traumatization going on, right? He's not quite right in the head, which suggests that Haruhiko actually pointed a gun at him, which is consistent with intent to kill him. And that image is like, a concept is like baked into his brain. Right, so it's more suggesting that Haruhiko, being the aggressor, pointed a gun at Otori, tried to shoot Otori with the gun, and it blew up in his hand. It suggests that, highly. But we'd have to explain why Otori knows that and is not telling. It's possible that Otori maybe would, what's it called? Like, spill the beans immediately at the start of the trial. No one believes him, and then we have to work it out and figure out what Otori said at the start was right all along at the end. That's a good way to do a chapter 4 twisty thing. Now, Otori was found outside of the whole armory, right? So Otori could not have been the one who set up the wood plank with smoke bombs on top. That's the issue. Like, this is a locked room mystery. And there's multiple ways to make a locked room. But we don't have, and I could go through them. Kyoko lists some of them in Trigger Happy Havoc. But essentially here in this situation, there doesn't seem to be any way possible to set that up from the outside. So whoever sets up the plank and the smoke, the grenade, the flash bomb and the smoke grenade, there's two things, on top of the plank, would have had to stayed inside that room after they set that up. There was no way out after they did that without ruining their setup. And there's no way to set that up from the outside. So if Otori was outside, he would not have been able to set that up, even though at one point we know he was inside the room because he witnessed the incident. So that would only really leave... In fact, whoever was in there, we know Otori was outside because he helped us break the door down. So that means that either there was a third person who set that up and ran out of the room when the flashbang and the smoke went off. That's what Yuki might have been thinking. Like, they escaped in that, when they couldn't see anything, they snuck out. Or, after getting very injured, using his left hand, Haruhiko actually set all that up. And there are some things to suggest that. One is that there was a bunch of bloodstains, like, going all over the place inside the armory, like, around all of the display cases and even going to the door. Suggesting that he went around to all the display cases and, like, threw all the guns out of the display cases and scattered them all over. And then also went to the door and set up the whole grenade thing before he collapsed on the floor. The weird question with that is, why in the world would he do that? If he accidentally killed himself, why would he put forth the effort to make it seem like a murder? One, you could come up with, like, a lot of explanations for this that are bad. That could probably really be a good one. I could come up with a bunch of bad ones, though. One of them is he didn't really understand the extent of Monokuma's omniscience. So he thought maybe he would try it. He could trick Monokuma into thinking that a murder actually happened as opposed to a suicide. But there's no way he could think that he could... That's bad, because there's no way he think that he could actually pull that off, because Monokuma demonstrated that he knew that he or she knew the right answer on all the other trials. Another weird one is Monokuma actually showed up and talks to Haruhiko after Otori leaves and says, hey, you know, I said that if a suicide happens, it doesn't count. Which suggests, or that's like not allowed. But you can't really punish somebody for committing suicide because they're dead, because they committed suicide. So you would just, maybe that would mean just simply, you don't get out of the ballroom. The other kids don't get out of the ballroom. You just are dead, and just the confinement keeps going. Well, but he might have made like this deal where he said, but I want interesting class trials. I actually don't want everyone to die of starvation in the ballroom. So you can dress this up and make it look like you were murdered. You can make it all complicated like a puzzle. And then they'll have something for the other kids to solve in a class trial that's interesting. I can hold an interesting class trial that's entertaining to my audience. And then I will let the other kids out of the ballroom. So basically you could do this, and that will help the other kids out because then I will let them out of the ballroom. And he actually kept that promise, apparently. Which is kind of like the third class trial where Monokuma interferes directly and helps set the whole thing up. That's kind of far-fetched. It's not... I don't know, it doesn't seem quite the best theory to me, or best hypothesis. There's an even worse one. That is, Haruhiko thinks that on his own. Like, well, I just committed suicide by accident, or I'm going to die. I have, like, a ticking time. I'm going to die soon. Maybe, if I dress it up and make it look like a murder, Monokuma will hold a class trial for the murder, because he'll think it'll make a good class trial. And then he'll let all the other kids out of the ballroom. The problem with that is, Haruhiko's not that smart. That's the big issue. And it makes it more likely that Monokuma would actually have to appear and interfere for that to be the case. Again, it's still not guaranteed that it's Haruhiko's suicide. We could have Otori shoot him first. The problem I have with Otori shooting Haruhiko is that he's like the obvious first accused. Like, that's too obvious. That's too simple a solution. That's just basically his problem. He's just too suspicious, right? He's acting too strange. He's going to get suspected extremely early. Right off the bat, we're going to think Otori did it. Mikako's going to come out and say that she saw Otori walking towards the armory. Otori walking towards the armory, and they're going to start just jumping all over his tail. So it'd be odd if that was the solution in the end, that Otori is the culprit. Again, there could be a third person. The problem is, the third person has to leave behind evidence that we can use. And there is no evidence of a third person other than the locked room itself. There's no, clues to who would have locked that room. And there is a lot of suggestion by the blood trails going all around the room, including to the door, that Haruhiko did it. He made the locked room. So it only really leaves Haruhiko and Otori. Otori's the obvious answer. Haruhiko accidentally killing himself is also an obvious answer. Making it but it's like the duel of two obviouses. There's a bunch of there's some weird details here. One is the note. The note's weird because it looks kind of like Kinjo planted it. It looks like it's not really real or organic. But something you could take from it is, Kinjo said, why would Haruhiko go, in answer to the note, actually go to the armory? It would be clear that he would be walking into death. But he went to the armory and then had a gun in his hand, which makes me think that yes, he did think he was walking into death, but he was going to hit first. Or he decided to be already a gun, just in case that the person was going to kill him because he thought he would walk into a kill trap. And so he maybe went to the armory early or something. So that might be an explanation of why Haruhiko had the gun. But the reason why I was thinking about the note in Haruhiko's room is because Haruhiko's room comes to mind. Because Haruhiko's room is weird. It's actually to the left of the armory. But Hikako, who said that her room is to the right of the armory, saw him come in, which is weird. Unless I'm mistaken, and I'm thinking that Mikako's room is to the right of the armory because that's where she was standing. Her room is actually on the left side. I got my right and left confused there. But if she's really on the right side, Haruhiko's on the left side, it's weird that she saw Haruhiko come in. It's also weird that, she left her door open, people would have seen the door open. That's also weird. Unless she was watching through a porthole in her door, but I don't think the portals in the doors were, plot related. I think that's just because they were generic RPG Maker 2000 assets. So there's a bunch of aspects of this that might play into this that I still haven't mentioned, that I really haven't, I don't really know how they fit in, but they seem to they might matter. One is Yuki's time skip, right? He falls asleep, wakes up a day and a half later, and thinks he's woken up half a day later. And he also felt like he felt before the time skip of the big Danganronpa time skip of two years. If it's a similar feeling to when he passed out in the lobby at the start of the game, right? So that's where his memory cutoff is. So it's kind of a similar idea. Like, he's like, doesn't remember a day. That might just be like being parallelism and trying to be poetic with that. It's really just he just got sick and slept for over a day. But Yuki being absent and not noticing what was going on in a day when a lot of things could have gone down because the whole day might be significant. There might be just a whole bunch of this we don't know about yet. Also, it reminds you of Monokuma's gift, which is supposed to restore something that you've lost, right? Suggesting that it somehow does something to maybe show you stuff that happened in the time period where you lost your memory. Well, that's another reference to the losing of the memory, which is what happened after the passing out of the lobby, which is what Yuki seemed to feel like before that time skip of one day. Now, it's really hard to think that the mastermind actually did that again and actually stole Yuki's memories for a day, because Yuki managed to get back to a bed and collapse on it before he passed out. If it's just a memory wipe, you wouldn't know that your memories were going to be wiped, right? You get imbued with that feeling that you had passed out afterwards. So you wouldn't like run to a bed and jump in it because you knew you were passing out. It's retroactive. You would have dropped in place, as you would remember. Anyway, another thing, so that's the second thing that kind of gets like brought up is Monokuma's gift, his treasure hunt, his treasure, that had something to do with their lost memories, this is a suggestion. That is something that you would think Mikako would have found, because she's the type of person who finds those kind of things. I don't think Yuki found it, unless he found it and his memories got re-erased afterwards. Because he found it in that time gap. But I don't know how that's going to play in. I don't even know if that's even going to come into the trial. It's probably going to come up right after the trial is over. It's going to be revealed what that was. Whoever found it, which is probably going to be Mikako, if I were to guess. And then lastly, there's a room in the ballroom that's a mirror of, or analogous to, the dining room. It's like the other side. It's the same size as the dining room, just flipped, with absolutely nothing in it. Is that just like an annoyance? Is that just a distraction? Or does it actually mean something? Because he's very disconnected from the murder. You could think, okay, well maybe Monokuma's treasure was hidden there. And Mikako is searching for things there. Yeah, but maybe Mikako finally found it in there. Maybe she was right. I don't know, we'll see. If I have to take a guess, and this is a really bold guess because there are problems with it, right? There's problems with why Haruhiko set up the locked room. But my best guess is that Haruhiko accidentally killed himself. And then afterwards set up the locker room. And somehow Monokuma still is holding a trial because Leiju is trying to make something analogous to Chapter 4 of Trigger Happy Havoc, and because it was an interesting enough scenario that the mastermind felt it worth it to hold the trial. I did mention one thing that was also weird. I mentioned it at the end of the last episode, but I'm going to mention it here in front of this trial. Like, the guns were all unloaded, right? But Kinjo passed out guns to everybody to commit suicide with the night before. You would think that those would have been loaded. Why would he bother passing out unloaded guns? Unless he was just that far out of it. Which suggests that they would have had to have unloaded all those. Someone would have to have unloaded those guns. Unless there's so many guns that those guns are just still left in the dining hall. And they are actually not part of the guns scattered on the floor of the armory. It's a weird detail. I don't know if it's going to be addressed in this trial or not. I'll look over the truth bullets. But my guess is what I'm going to go with, is accidental suicide by Haruhiko. That's my guess. That's like, if I get it wrong, I'll be annoyed at myself guess. Why didn't you do anything? Oh, it crashed. Oh, no, okay. Monokuma file, basically all it says is he died at 7 a.m. It says of bleeding from the gunshot wound. And he's missing 2 fingers on his right hand. Gunshot wound is at chest. It's written in the Monokuma file, but appears to be a direct cause of death. Which one did it is probably... Okay, you can't tell which one did it, but it's probably actually the one that exploded. Missing finger, his right hand is like all messed up. Guns all over the place. It's possible the culprit deliberately destroyed the gun, is probably a mistranslation. Natural bloodstains, a little strange. He was wandering around the arsenal. Blood was smeared everywhere, like in a path. And it was the killer driving the corpse around. Anyways, there must be a reason for the blood left in the state. Again, I think it's because he was walking around, grabbing guns, and just throwing them on the floor. That's what he was doing. And then he was also getting the smoke bomb, the flash bomb and smoke grenade, and the plank, where he was finding those, and he was putting them, you know, in the... He was, like, building his door prank with them. His fingers just blew off because the gun exploded in his hand. The gun exploded in his hand. Flash and smoke grenades that were sitting on top of the plank made it so that it appeared like someone may have an opportunity to it was hiding in there, an opportunity to escape. The wooden plank that was in the door handles. A gun was in the corner. There's nothing really interesting about the gun in the corner. But, it did reveal when we picked it up that Otori was kind of, well, it made it seem obvious that he was a witness to the incident. Teruya was weird, touching the gun alone in the corner of the arsenal. Teruya showed strange disapproval. Kept telling me to keep my hands off the gun because it would trigger on its own. What else was he talking about? And when I questioned him, he panicked and left the arsenal. Then there's a letter, and has borrowed a key from Haruhiko's body and checked the room. Found the unknown letter. Haruhiko, I have something to tell you. If you read this, why don't you come to the arsenal? I'm not trying to kill you. I hope you believe me. I'll wait. Seems something like Otori, maybe. Probably not Mikako. Probably not Rei. Probably not Kijo. Not Yuki. No, yeah, it has to be Otori. Satsuki, maybe. But Satsuki would probably just ask him directly in person. He wouldn't use a letter. Mikako said she used the room right next to the arsenal. Again, it seems like the right side, but maybe it was the left side. She had a few people entering the arsenal during the dawn hours. She didn't say any details, but Mikako might know our alibis. Tsurugi, Kinjo Tsurugi says, the gunshot that caused Tsurugi's death would not have been instant. The bullet didn't get stuck and went all the way through. Impact was small. However, he said they probably died not long after his chest was shot. Okay, and that's it. Pretty short. I'm going to go grab some blueberries. Pausing coding while I do that, then I'll go into the trial. Okay, hopefully I'm rolling again. This is Zephyrum's translation. Tends to be pretty ugly, except it was pretty good chapter 3 trial. In the trial, not the chapter, the trial. Do I have to read this again? No, I won't. I'll skip it. You've seen this text so many times before. Finally started, the 4th class trial. One of us is the culprit that killed Haruhiko. We must find the culprit at all costs. Now then, please begin your discussion. Guys, this is a funny way to start this. So, like, right, yeah, should we start discussing? You got the deer in the headlights look. Okay, we have to work hard. So, where do we start? We start with the question we need to answer. Who did it? Obviously. What? This is a stuffy, awkward mood. Well, your sweater probably doesn't help. Well, it's not unreasonable because, or the vest, or whatever you want to call it, because our conflict reached its peak. First, I think each of you will have a lot of things to say before the trial, and the feelings that you're feeling will be different. But now let's focus on the trial in front of you. Aside from everything else. Just like we did so far, haven't we? Kinjo? As Kinjo said, now it's the trial. Let's swallow what we want to say to each other for a moment, because survival is our priority now. Ha. You don't take that for granted, do you? Let's get started already. Then let's begin. Once we get the case sorted out, let's organize the series of events in chronological order based on what each knows. Hey, wait a minute. Before that, I have something to say just for a minute, please. I'm just going to ignore your advice and say stuff that's unrelated to the trial anyway. What is it, Uranami? I'm the killer. Yeah? Satsuki-chan? What did you just say now? I said I'm the killer. Well, this is kind of a circus thing. Satsuki didn't do it, obviously. Now, why she would claim she did it if she didn't, well, she would get killed, right? They would kill her, so... And everybody else besides, it's suicidal, and it's also takes a bunch of people with you. Now, some people are into that kind of thing. So maybe Satsuki's into that kind of thing. She's so bummed Haruhiko died that she's gonna kill herself to go with him and take everybody else with her, except the killer. And if it's a suicide, then that's everyone. There's no killer. I'm the culprit who killed Haruhiko Kobashikawa. Don't play around, Uranami. What are you saying all of a sudden? It's not a joke. Are you serial? Don't make me laugh. Do you think that if you claim to be the criminal without physical evidence or logic, you'll become the culprit? But I really killed Haruhiko. It can't be. Stop making bad jokes, Satsuki-chan. You should explain one step at a time. If we listen and we are convinced, then we can really believe that you are the culprit. Suddenly, what is all this? Just as the trial begins, she said she's the culprit. If it were a normal culprit, they would never confess. What if it, like, turns all the way around crazy full circle and ends up being Satsuki in the end? Very unlikely, but that would be an interesting writing. But would Satsuki really be the culprit? Before making any judgments, let's first listen to Satsuki's story. Is it non-stop? No, I don't want to hear the tutorial for non-stop. What if this is an absorb? Oh, goodness gracious. You would do that, Linju. Let's just do this thing. Yes, I do forget the controls. Then maybe that would give me... I think this is shift rolls the truth bullets. X does the absorb, I think. Smoke grenades, letter in the room, and then gunshot chest wound. Interesting. I don't know which one we'd actually use. Why are you claiming to be the culprit? Let's hear your reasoning. Okay, this is a short one. At dawn, Kobazing called me. I followed Kobazing and went to the arsenal. Okay, this is probably going to be the letter. And then, all by myself, he pointed a gun at me. I just shot him in self-defense. It can't be. Okay, so we're probably going to use the letter on Kobazing called me. If Satsuki really is the culprit, it means that the victim, Haruhiko himself, called the culprit. But isn't that the little weird? Haruhiko was actually the one who was called. This clue proves it. Okay, I lose a star, right? Yeah, because I went all the way around. It's a hard one, though. Bam. Is there a skill that I have, like, from somebody that gives me extra tokens? Is that Satsuki's skill? Wait, Satsuki, Haruhiko called you? Isn't that odd? Last couple trials I didn't get any tokens because they apparently died twice. Not apparently. I got killed a whole bunch of times by the, in both builds by that, panic talk action against Kinji. Wait, Satsuki, Haruhiko called you. Isn't that odd? It's weird. The victim Haruhiko called you, the culprit? That can't be it. Rather, the victim Haruhiko was called by the culprit and went to the arsenal. If you were the culprit, you would know. Are you saying he was called by the killer? I don't know. It's ridiculous. The letter that was put in Haruhiko's room is what he's talking about. The contents are like this. To Haruhiko, I have something to tell you. If you read this, why don't you come to the arsenal? I'm not trying to kill you. I hope you believe me. I'll wait. Well, if the contents of that letter are true, it makes no sense that Kobashikawa-kun called Satsuki-chan and took her to the arsenal, right? It would be the opposite. That's right. Also, he wouldn't have killed Satsuki. Haruhiko would not have killed Satsuki. That's right, but Satsuki said that she doesn't know much about this letter. The killer doesn't know the letter they sent. Nope, doesn't make sense. I don't know. What if it was manipulation? Yuki and Tsurugi wrote that letter that I didn't know, and you're manipulating things now. Well, Kinji was acting a little bit suspiciously of that. Don't be a thickhead. Obviously, this evidence came from Haruhiko's room, and not me. Unless it did. Oh, Mikako knows. Kako is sus. King of Kinjo. I mean, it did seem a bit like Kinjo planted it. A bit. So, Iranami is not the culprit? Wrong, I really mean it. I'm the real culprit. Just looking at the current evidence. I'm writing down notes for when I do the original build on the first nonstop. I forgot to write them down right afterwards. I forgot like which one it was, but I just wrote it down and used it on the first yellow that pops up. Just looking at the current evidence, I'd say that Satsuki is the culprit. To say that Satsuki is the culprit, it's hard to be something or other, but I want to make sure things are a little more clear. So let's ask about it. Haruhiko's other wound. Whose source is unknown to the evidence that only the culprit they must know. So the right hand, right? So choose the bullet. You will choose my notes, right hand wound or right hand destruction. Okay, usually that one's fine, but just to make sure. It's the non-stops that are really hard to do when you don't know the language. Satsuki, if you're really the culprit, there's one thing I want you to tell me. This isn't like the letter, but a direct clue to Haruhiko's body. So if you're the culprit, it's a clue that you must know. What's that? Haruhiko's right hand. You recall, his hand was completely shattered. It's hard to say that this was a gunshot wound. If you're the culprit, can you tell me the true nature of this wound? I don't know. Why does Sam become that way? You don't have to talk anymore. You're not the culprit. Wait a second, I'm telling the truth. Why are you still claiming to be the killer? If it's real, even if Iranami is the culprit, you'll only get executed. I don't know what you're thinking, but this is not a joke. If Iranami unnecessarily confuses our reasoning and chooses the wrong killer, and we choose the wrong killer, we will all die. Maybe, that might have been the purpose. What? She was close to Haruhiko Kobashikawa, who died this time, right? Apparently it looks like she was in severe shock, unlike the usual one, who always talks at random. With that shock in mind, you're trying to make us follow Haruhiko Kobashikawa's fate, is that right? That was it? Absolutely not, of course. I'm really sad that Haru died, but I'm very much sane. I'm going to I need to do an exorcism here. Stop it, Iranami. We haven't even started a proper discussion yet. If the discussion goes on, the killer will be naturally revealed. If you are really the killer, you don't have to rush things. It'll all turn out okay. Satsuki-chan. Alright then, let's discuss about it. Man, Mikako never says anything foolish, ever. It's like... what's that guy's name? I forget. Yeah, wow. Let's continue. Has it been roughly organized? You wasted my time on useless things. So let's start from the beginning again. When the case started to happen. Hold on a minute, is it okay to wait 1 minute before that? I'm the culprit! In this case, can we assume that Iranami isn't completely the culprit? No, not necessarily. If Iranami is really the culprit, there's still a possibility there. That's it? We haven't started any reasoning yet. First, there's a possibility from what happened a little while ago, but maybe there's something up. In that way, they were excluding themselves from the suspect line. What had to be calculated with Iranami's mind? It would be impossible to tell. Hey, you're treating me as a fool right now. Well, you are the super high school level clown. I don't think it was on purpose. Quiet. First, as Kinjo says, let's summarize the unfolding of the case. Oh, right. Where can we start from the evening before the incident happened? Oh, that was when Maeda-kun, Kobashikawa-kun, Notori-kun, and Satsuki-chan, Mikako-chan, and me, 6 people gathered in the restaurant. Maeda-kun called us, and at the time we were at the limit of our hunger, and we all thought to come together and meet each other in the thought that we should somehow unfold a hard policy. At that time, Teruya suggested, I'll tell you, I wasn't really sane back then. That what happened was my fault for being immature. What's this? I didn't even see our faces the day before the murder took place. Yes, you... No, correct. You indeed didn't. I am taking that from the day you found the food. I don't know this, so explain exactly what's going on. Teruya gave us a pen and paper to nominate one victim and one culprit. He asked for one person to vote. Since Monokuma banned suicide, it was a plan to set up the case at the expense of 2 people. That was really crazy. I'm so sorry. It's alright, it's all over now. We almost agreed to this plan too. It looks like the part I saw from there. I broke into the restaurant because the absurd plan was about to be implemented. Yeah, Kijo-kun came in and handed out guns to each of us. To commit suicide. What? Oh no! Nothing at all. Okay, keep going. I love you, Ray. Well, that's when we started to fight back at Kinjo. And we were lucky enough to catch him, and we judged him to be dangerous, so he couldn't move anymore. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so uneducated today. Continue, so... The problem starts after this. Thanks to Kijo, the plan was halted. But there was no progress for the day. We locked Kijo in his room, and then went back to each room. Between this morning, Haruhiko died. I couldn't sleep all night, so I was staying with my eyes open, but I heard something outside in the morning, so I went out and Maeda was asking for help, saying that the door was not opening. And when you somehow opened the door, you found the body? Yeah, that's right. This case is missing our eyes between the dawn hours, and there is not much evidence, so we have no choice but to share information we know with each other. First, a few alibis can be established just by hearing about this. Alibis? Yes, so then let's dig into the alibis one by one, alright? Kiji... Oh, this is a non-stop? Okay. Don't hear any weird music. Hopefully it's not absorbed then. Kurokawa, unnatural bloodstain, severed fingers, destroyed gun. Kurokawa's testimony. It's probably the thing we use, okay. Because we're talking about alibis, right? The problem is if I exclude myself from the suspect since I was tied up, right? Yes. Oh, certainly, an idea where Kinjo commits the crime doesn't seem possible. I have an alibi too, Maeda and me. Kind of. Kinda. We were together when the BDA happened. If so, the ones who can be suspected as a criminal are Mikaro, Taira, Iranami, Kurokawa. Those 4 people. I really don't have an alibi. It's not me. Satsuki is the killer. You shut up already. Stop causing trouble. Dakira. Bam. Okay, agree with Kinjo on 10th entry with Kurokawa's account. Right. Okay, got through that one. Yeah, Zephyrum's translation always gets, like, way better when you get to the trial. Wait, come to think of it, I think there was someone who knows the alibis during Dawn in detail. Who is it? During the investigation, Kurokawa, she clearly testified to me that she had seen who went to the arsenal in the morning. Right, Kurokawa? Yes. Well, if that's true, the culprit has already been revealed, right? You're noisy, be quiet. Hey, dark circle, so, who did you see? Kurokawa's room was right next to the arsenal, and she heard the arsenal's door opening and closing. Of course, the arsenal is soundproofed, so she didn't hear the sounds from the inside. I don't think hearing only the sound is enough to be a direct witness testimony. No. I saw people passing by in front of my door. What? No way, you've been watching the hallway all morning, is that what you mean? Mm-hmm. But then still, it would have been difficult to stay sane in hunger, but watching the hallway all night without sleep is... However, that worked nicely in reverse. The culprit couldn't have thought that there must have been someone in the midst watching the corridor. That is a great achievement, Kurokawa. So then who passed by? Well, I don't know the time. The exact time is unknown, but it was in this order. First was Haruhiko, Hiko, and Satsuki. From left to right. The arsenal door didn't open at this time. A little later, Satsuki went from right to left. She was alone at this time. A little later, after Iranami passed, Teruya went from left to right. A little while later, again, I heard the sound of the arsenal door. Then Teruya went from right to left. And after a while, Haruhiko goes from right to left. Soon after, Haruhiko and Satsuki are together again. Wait a minute, I'm sorry, but wait a minute. I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what left to right or right to left. Can't you tell me something a little more clearly? You're the only one that doesn't understand something so simple, aren't you? Don't cut the flow for no reason. Focus and listen. Don't be like that. I'm a little confused too. But let's listen to Kurokawa's story until the end to reorganize it. We need to draw a picture. This is like that game where you have like characters that move at different speeds and you're trying to get them all across at a certain amount of time and they can only go forward in pairs but can come back in alone, whatever that bridge crossing puzzle's called, in an easy to understand manner. Kurokawa, is that everything? Yep. Give me a diagram. Give me the diagram. Indeed. As you said, you can assume that the killer has already revealed themselves. At the time of the investigation, I didn't know this because Kurokawa didn't tell me properly, but this is definitely a tremendous amount of information. Hey, I want to join the discussion too, but can't you tell us a little bit more easily? Sorry, Tyra. I'll organize it so it's easy to understand. Before that, there's something I want to check again. The location of the room each of us was using. If we know this, I think we can properly organize Kurokawa's information. Okay, I'm going to have to draw this diagram. Give me some way that I could draw a diagram. I didn't draw the... Is it left to right from the player's perspective, going top down in their UI? Or is it left to right, Kurokawa looking out from her room? Well, that's certainly something I want to do, and we need to move on. From what I roughly checked with each other during the investigation... Oh, here we go. Everyone remembers the structure of the corridor behind the ballroom where the rooms are listed, right? Okay, so let me put the... So we have the armory in the middle, and then we have 4 doors on each side. So... for the 8 people that are remaining, right? And I think Haruhiko's was... Haruhiko was the one just to the left of the armory from our perspective, just looking at this picture. As you would know, if you did a little closer examination, there was a small tag on the door of each room. Oh, there's like a backside. Crud. Okay, this is... I honestly thought that all the doors were like on the same side of the hallway as the armory. I didn't realize there were ones on those like niches on the backside were doors. Okay. So 1, 2, then across 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It's kind of like the odds are on the near side or the non-armory side. The evens are on the armory side with the exception of room 1. According to the tag, the rooms are distributed in this manner. Monokuma randomly gave us a key to each room. From what I've investigated... Okay, so Mikako's is on the right from our perspective. So, Mikako. Haruhiko is 4, not 6, so I got that wrong. I thought he was 6. I thought he was the one, as I said, I thought he was the one immediately to the left. No, he's 2 to the left. Although, because it doesn't actually matter in this case. Those mischievous smiles. Okay. Yuki's 1. Kane is 5. Rei is 9. Satsuki is 13. Tsurugi is 12. Oh no, Tsurugi... Kinjo is 13. And Otori is 14. So they're all like distributed like every other room almost. Except that Otori and Kinjo are next to each other. That Akane chibi is just like that smile. This is probably how each of us were located in each room. I'll take that as a definitely. When we reconsider Kurokawa's testimony after arranging the distribution of each room used by each person in this way, we can see that a few suspects are eliminated. Well, I mean, I didn't understand Mikako's words at all. That's your own fault. Are you going to blow up valuable discussion time for someone like you? Yes. Kinjo, that's too far. It's important for one person to know the case, right? I'll rearrange it and explain it to Taira. Do what you like, preferably as quickly as possible. Kinjo-kun, you still don't seem to forgive me. Taira, to summarize Kurokawa's words simply, right, it's that effect of anger where... There's 2 of the versions of this. One is you're really angry at one thing in your life, so then that makes you somehow get angry at everything. It just makes you all surly. And the other is you're angry at a person for one thing that they did, so you get angry to them for everything they do, and it's like they can't do anything right. Taira, to summarize Kurokawa's words simply. First, the fact that Kurokawa watched the hallway all morning. Taira, you heard it earlier, right? And based on what Kinjo summarized, Kurokawa's room is room 8, yes? It's the room on the right side of the arsenal, correct? When you go straight from the entrance of the arsenal to the corridor, as Kurokawa explained a little while ago, what she said was from left to right and from right to left was based on the direction facing the corridor in Kurokawa's room. Okay, good, thanks for clarifying that. So when Kurokawa says left, it's like our right, so that's going away from the arsenal. When she says right, that's like our left, so that's going towards the arsenal. Here, I'll make it more easy to understand with pictures. Thank you! In order that Kurokawa saw it, Haruhiko and Satsuki were the first people that passed by in front of the door at this time. So event 1, Haru plus Satsuki. Okay? They went to the right from Mikako's perspective, which is our left looking at this picture. She said there was no sound of the arsenal door opening at that time, so just the two of them passing by. And they went past the arsenal all the way. Okay. And just were like on the complete opposite side. A little later, she said that Satsuki passed by alone again in the opposite direction. So number 2, Satsuki coming back the other way, all the way back. So that leaves Haruhiko still over on this side. The arsenal door didn't open yet, right? So Haruhiko's still over on our left side. Shortly after this, she said that Teruya passed by. At this time, she could hear the sound of the arsenal door opening. This probably means that Teruya went into the arsenal. Okay, so I see Teruya. So, number 3, Teruya going left. And then he could have gone in the arsenal. Not necessarily, though, because Haruhiko could have came back and went into the arsenal. Or they could have both gone into the arsenal. After a while, the sound of the arsenal door opening was heard again, and then Teruya passed in the opposite direction. So then number 4 is Teruya going this way. And did he come out of the arsenal? Question. Soon after, Haruhiko passed by in the same direction again. So then Haruhiko, so number 5, it's Haruhiko. And then did he come out of the arsenal, question? No, the arsenal door didn't open, so he did not come out of the arsenal. He just delayed a little bit and then went that way. Then Haruhiko and Satsuki went from left to right again. At this time, the door to the arsenal was open. Someone went into the arsenal, okay? Earlier. After that, there was no movement for a while, and after a little time passed, Satsuki passed by with the sound of the arsenal door opening. So then Satsuki leaves. So maybe Satsuki set up the whole locked room. So she said Satsuki might have set up the locked room thing. These are all the movements Kurokawa saw and heard during the morning. After this, well, she heard the ruckus of the arsenal door next, but that was probably the sound of me trying to open the door. that little chibi thing like hits against the door. Teruya, who passed by, heard the sounds I made. Then I opened the door with Teruya's help during this time. That's the summary of what Kurokawa heard and saw, roughly like this. Do you understand? Now, Yuki, Akane are also on the left side. So they could have come in and out of the arsenal, and Mikako would have never seen any of it. However, it's not going to be Yuki or Akane, so it doesn't matter. We now narrowed it down to Haruhiko accidentally killing himself, which I still think is the answer. Satsuki, or, which I think is not the answer, or Otori, which I'm afraid could be the answer. But it would seem too obvious, as I said at the beginning. Wow, when Maeda-kun explained it to me, I understood it all at once, thanks. Really, but wait, if we look at from the current events on each step, yeah, there's one suspicious person, do you see it clearly? I can't guarantee 100% what Kurokawa heard and saw was everything that happened at dawn, but with the information obtained, till now, has results in one influential suspect in the case. And it's Satsuki, right? Satsuki. What? Well, I mean, she's the last one to leave, sir. Okay, I guess it's unclear. What they're asking me to do is which new suspect has been introduced that we now need to investigate. Not who is the most suspicious. Okay. Nevertheless, that's confusing. Teruya.
Hello.
Teruya. It's the only one who fits to be the main suspect in this case. Huh? Me? Haruhiko was the victim, so he couldn't help it. The fact that Satsuki was close to Haruhiko makes me understand why she was there. But why did Teruya move around like that so early in the morning? That, what was it again? Right, I was investigating, yeah. Everyone was in a panic, so I wanted to find clues to get out, even for a little bit. Just a few hours ago, you were trying to pick two victims. The guy who was despairing and doing investigation was thinking of all of these things. Doesn't that sound a little weird? That's all there is to it. The wait fixed my mind. People can change their mind easily, you know. Even if it's true that you did an investigation, if you think about it based on Kurokawa's testimony, you were only in the arsenal. What kind of investigation did you do in the arsenal? No, I never went into the arsenal. Otori-kun, please stop the pretense and explain properly. What the hell did you What the hell did you in the arsenal? I know it's a typo, but I kind of like it. I never went into the arsenal! You should have wrote, I never went the arsenal! Teruya? Why does it have to only be me? I did nothing wrong. If you look at it, Satsuki also went around at dawn. Why am I the only one who's suspicious? Yeah, I'm the culprit. Are you still saying that? I told you to be quiet. Certainly Iranami is well under enough suspicion. However, she said that she didn't know the identity of the letter. Nor did she know about Haru's hand. So that's it then. You just gonna take her off the list just because she doesn't know? That's a long shot. I didn't know about anything about the letter or the right hand either. Don't be mistaken, Teruya. You now said that Iranami is the culprit and you don't know about these clues. While Iranami claims to be the culprit, but she doesn't recognize these clues, are entirely different matters. Then what about Maeda? When I saw him this morning, he was trying to get into the arsenal, so Maeda is also suspicious. That just happened. Yes, I won't deny that Maeda is a suspect as you claim. He had been in and out of the arsenal the previous day, and even this morning. He had the strange idea of going to the arsenal again. But why would he try opening? Like, you would think that the person who did it would be the most likely to try to create the locked room out of the arsenal, and he was trying to break it down. Maybe it's because he was self-reporting, like Hatano was doing. But this and that is a separate matter. As a result, Maeda failed to enter the arsenal this morning. There was no testimony of Kurokawa witnessing in the morning, so this is not suitable for committing the crime. Yeah, but he was on the other side, though. If he went between his room and the arsenal, Mikako could have not seen it. Well, anyways, I don't know what about that. I'm exactly trying to protect him, but relying only on Dark Circle's testimony has a slightly loose time frame. I'm going to ignore it, to not make me go nuts, and move on already. I know that. It's about the structure of the ballroom, right? The structure? Think about it. Even if Kurokawa watched the hallway all night, it's all about looking outside of the room and hearing the arsenal door. But if you look at the structure of the ballroom, you can easily enter the arsenal without passing by Kurokawa's door. Because we are all at the ballroom for a week, I think everyone should know, but the arsenal is structured around the dance hall at 360 degrees. In other words, if you go back to the other side, you can enter the arsenal without being noticed by Kurokawa. Moreover, in the case of Maeda, Kurokawa does not stand out even if he does not use this method and goes straight into the arsenal. Stand out is probably not the right word, but whatever, we know what they mean. From his own room, since it was in the opposite side of Kurokawa's room in the first place. You knew that too. See, Maeda is the culprit after all. But there's something you shouldn't overlook. Even if you use some method to enter the arsenal without showing your appearance to Kurokawa, there is still the sound of the door opening and closing that can only be heard by Kurokawa. Or that would have been heard by Kurokawa. But Mikako-chan's testimony, the sound of the arsenal opening and closing was always heard before and after someone passed her door. That's right, after all, the person who walked in and out of the arsenal at dawn. I can't think of anything other than these three people. Well, they could have piggybacked on them. Who showed up in the testimony? Haruhiko, Satsuki, and Teruya. They could have piggybacked on one of those persons entering and exiting of the arsenal. This is not airtight at all. This is like a screen door. But I do agree that Yuki didn't do it because he's the protagonist, by meta reasons that these characters don't know. So Teruya, you went into the arsenal. So, I don't know, does that make me okay with using screen door logic to say that it wasn't him? So Teruya, you went into the arsenal, and I want you to hear your reason to make sure. If you're really innocent, there's no reason to be in a panic, right? Then I'm really innocent? I just went to the arsenal too. I went in for a minute. I don't think there will be an end if this goes on like this. What is Teruya so afraid of? I'm not sure. He doesn't want to say anything. Because, well, I'm not certain, but I'll have to show more convincing evidence that he has no choice but to speak with his own words. Come to think of it, there seems to be one suspicious thing about Teruya during the investigation. What was it? It was when I was investigating something in the arsenal. Let's recall that moment. Spot selection. No, I would not like to hear it. No. Okay. There's spot selection. I don't know why I'm writing this down in my notes, but I'm writing this down in my notes anyway. I was investigating this thing. Corner gun. Okay. Gun in lower right corner. Come to think of it, Teruya did say something strange to me when I was investigating. Or didn't Teruya say something strange to me when I was investigating? What, something strange? I don't know. I found a gun that was dropped in a corner. And when I checked it to investigate, suddenly you came up and told me not to touch it because it will blow up. What do you mean, Maeda? Tell us in more detail. There was a gun in the corner of the arsenal that was hard to see. I tried to investigate why I was in the corner like that. Suddenly, Teruya, who was nearby, ran up and told me not to touch it because it will blow up if I shot. Maybe he thought I was going to use the gun. If you shoot, it will blow up? What are you talking about? No, before answering that question, how did he know about that? Maeda, the gun, did you properly investigate it? Huh? I did examine it roughly, but it was a normal gun with nothing special. I thought it was equipped with a bomb or something. Because I thought it was going to explode. Probably. It's not like that. Hey, Monokuma. Did you call me? I was enjoying this. What's up? I require you to submit evidence. Bring the gun, Maeda mentioned. Why am I being ordered? Submit evidence, is that possible? It's part of the debate in this class trial. There's no problem by the rules. You, the judge, have no right to deny it. That's correct. There's no profit to reject it. Besides, if it's part of the discussion, what's the point? GA, I really don't like that attitude. How can you be so cheeky? Shut up and get it already. Actually, I thought this was going to happen, and I brought it from the beginning. Now here you go. How is it? This is it. It's a bullet. Wait, I thought Maeda said that there were no bullets in any of the other guns besides the one that blew up in Haruhiko's hand. But now we found a bullet in the corner one. I guess it was all but the corner one because he didn't get to investigate the corner one properly because Haruhiko interrupted him. Not Haruhiko. Otori interrupted him. Wait, is Haruhiko even in this? Yes, okay, it's the victim. Wow, that's tricky game. Okay, is it a shell or does it actually have a round? A bullet? It was loaded? It's not a simple bullet. It's a bullet for shotguns and medium-sized rifles. Bullets that do not meet the standard were forcibly loaded in this gun. If you pull the trigger with one of these, a bullet that doesn't fit into the magazine, it enters the chamber and blocks the muzzle. And of course, no bullet shell comes out. The pressure from the gunpowder has disappeared from where it's supposed to go. Instead, it goes spreading all over the gun itself, and it'll end up being shattered. Wait a minute, so then why did Teruya know about this? Why? Booby-trapped? I see now what you did in the arsenal. Oh, Torikun, did you change the bullets on purpose? For that reason? For what reason? The gun in that state, if you hold it with a human hand and fire it, your hand will never be safe. When I listened to those words just now, I see a very similar wound I remember in my mind. Yes, the source is clear, Haruhiko's right hand. I understand now, Haruhiko was hit by the explosion of the pistol that Kinjo was holding right now. The evidence was also in the arsenal. The proof is the shattered bullet, the shattered gun, right? So, choose bullet, shattered gun. Yeah, that's right, it was in the arsenal. The fragment of a gun filled with blood, which appeared to have been burst from the inside. Yeah, I saw it too. Haruhiko fired the gun, wrongly loaded. Just like this gun, and the gun he was holding exploded, and his hand ended up being ruptured. Then Otori-kun did this to Kobashikawa-kun. Wait a minute, I'm sure this gun is the one I touched. But I don't know about the other destroyed gun. Who, you admit it, the fact that he touched the gun. No. Of course, there are two guns with misloaded bullets. It's a little weird, but I'm certain, Teruya, you definitely did something. You definitely did something, Teruya. So if you misload a gun intentionally, knowing that someone's going to try to use it to kill you, and then they try to use it to kill you, and it explodes in there, that kills them. Did they commit suicide, kill themselves by pulling the trigger and exploding on them? Or did Otori kill them by causing what they were trying to do to cause their death? How are we going to define this? Is that really it? I think if we pry a little more, you'll end up confessing everything. Don't treat me well as criminals without solid evidence. Even if I put my hands on the gun, it can't be proof that I'm a killer. It doesn't matter. We don't want to necessarily determine if you're the killer or not. We just want to extract all of the information out of your head. So I don't know anything. Give me the proof, evidence. It can't be denied that Teruya is the most powerful suspect right now. But is there any more solid evidence? If we keep discussing, we might see something we haven't considered before. I am going to do this because I'm going to need to remember it's X. Okay. I need to know what the controls are. So basically, you're telling me with the tutorial that this is an absorb. Okay, thank you. Are you actually going to give me an absorb that's hard at some point? I don't know anything. It's already been revealed. Stop lying and tell the truth. We went to the arsenal. You deliberately loaded the gun, blah, 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 with bad bullets. But only doing that doesn't mean I'm the culprit, does it? But why else? Of course you loaded the gun. You can say it doesn't make you the culprit, but the killer loaded the bullets on purpose. I am certain of this. That's far-fetched. I'm not, because I did that one thing. They're treating me as a culprit. I didn't do that one thing. You knew the gun was going to explode. What more evidence do you want to see? Otori-kun, how could you? Oh. Pen and paper were given to you the moment you murderer. Huh. That's a hard one. What does the pen and paper have anything to do with it, though? It is certain that Teruya went into the arsenal at dawn and secretly manipulated a gun. But is that really all there is? Did they sneak at dawn just to do that one action? Let's think about it. If we listen to everyone's statements, we'll be able to uncover another track of Teruya's deeds. Okay. This is tricky. So, which one do I... So, do I absorb Kinjo saying just one... I think we agree, right? We agree with the blue. Oh, that's the thing where I refute that. Okay. I refute just one thing. What do I refute just one thing with? Pen and paper? Oh, I can absorb things and that, like, absolves me of the like, focus hit. That's cool. I wonder if absorbing anything does that. Well, that's a weird answer. Okay. Absorb Akane and use that on Teruya's just one thing. That's a weird one, but they did tell me it was an absorb, so If I didn't know that was an absorb, it would have been weird. But it's just an Monokuma file, so I would have known it was just an absorb by that means. That's it, the paper and the pin. What? After listening to Tyra's words, I thought about it. At the beginning of the trial, you guys remember the letter that you said when you were blaming Satsuki? I've been thinking about it's been weird all this time. How did the culprit write this letter? We should have lost all of our belongings at the same time when we were in the ballroom. Hearing that, yeah, how did... Oh. Out of context, absorb. Yes, exactly as Maeda says. Perhaps the night before the murder, there was someone who secretly handed out a piece of paper, and then that had been secretly showing a paper to ask someone to choose 2 victims. Chick. It's obvious at this point that Teruya clearly said that at the time the extra paper and pin were not removed from his clothes. That means Teruya is the only one who has a paper and pin in their belongings. Don't joke around, you could have accidentally found another piece of paper and wrote in it. Oh, is that so? Should we check it then? Monokuma, bring that letter. I knew that would happen, so I brought it in advance. Or I brought it in advance here. Now, without that guy making a commotion, let's read it. This must be the same paper Teruya had. Then Otori-kun was the one who sent that letter to Kobashikawa-kun's room? Wait a minute, you're forcing me. I handed out a bunch of papers to you guys. Soon after that, when Kinjo made a fuss, he might have gotten one in the mass confusion. If it's only paper, it might be possible. But what about your side? Teruya said it with his own words. There's only one pen. No matter how much paper you had, you cannot write a letter without a pen. The pen was also in the confusion. Oh, then that means you don't have the pen right now because you said you only have one. If we look into your belongings and the party clothes you wore, you won't have any complaints, right? That's not allowed. Why not? Is there something we shouldn't see? It's decided then. You can't refute it anymore. He wrote a letter by calling out Haruhiko and misloading a bullet to let his hand be ruptured. All of this, that's what you did, Teruya. Really? You, Otori-kun? Why? Why'd you do that? Why'd you kill Kobashikawa-kun? I'm sorry, all you said was right. Okay, here we go again with this, where it's like, we're not even at the intermission yet. Are you just gonna end? Are you just gonna wrap up super fast? After all, you couldn't stand the hunger too? What else could someone do otherwise? Actually, there was a reason that I was aiming for Haruhiko, and there was a reason when we fought each day. It was all because of hunger. Otori-kun? So what, were you hoping for sympathy? Either way, you planned the murder and executed it. No, I have nothing to say. I don't want to make more excuses and dishonor Haruhiko anymore. I'm going to be die. I'm going to be die anyways. That's that's another one of those typos that I like. I'm going to be die. Wait, there's one thing I'm curious about. Why did you go to the arsenal before the victim? Work with the gun. Write a letter to call him. Then go back again to the arsenal. My plan was to originally summon Haruhiko and then see him go into the arsenal, and I would go with him. As if it had nothing to do with a criminal. Haruhiko and I were supposed to fight, and then provoke him, and then let him shoot me with the gun I prepared. Once that happens, his hand would fly away without knowing anything, and he would die. In the past, I followed my papa to study guns in America. Then I decided to commit a crime by using the knowledge I gained at the time. So I went back to my room and watched to see Haru coming out. But I was too tired, so I fell asleep until morning came. In the end, I don't know the reason why Haru broke his hand. But in any case, it was my fault. The fact that I killed Haruhiko doesn't change. This was a different answer to even predict. I'm glad you're a stupid fool. In a way, Kurukawa, who was watching the corridor all day morning, I think that was a good thing. Thanks to that, my crime was discovered. Teruya? The discussion so far has ended with the conclusion that Teruya is the culprit. Seems like a long shot. I think there's still a lot of unsolved questions. Wait a minute, I've been listening all this time. Something is wrong with this. Teruya is not the culprit. Tsuki-san, what are you talking about? Tori could just admitted it. I mean, the culprit is me. Are you still saying that? I told you to shut up. How did the bullet... Wait. Is Teruya really the culprit? Even Mikako-chan? If I am right, Teruya is not the culprit. There is still an unsolved mystery. What are you guys talking about? I'm the culprit, aren't I? I'm almost 90% certain that Teruya is the culprit, and I am 90% certain that you are wrong! But it's still a little too early to end the trial. I agree that there's an unsolved mystery left. If we tried to vote without anyone speaking up like this, I would have tried to do it, but actually this is the most important part of the case right now. You have made it to the crux. What's this all of a sudden? Wasn't the trial ending like this? That's right, if we think about it carefully, there are still a lot of parts that cannot be explained on the contents of the discussion. But I'd like to hear why Kurokawa thinks Teruya is not the culprit. That's hard, because she gets shocked when she talks too much. You weren't careful enough, even for Kinjo. Why are the roasts, though? What? Nothing. Anyway, if you listen to the explanation... I don't know why... Anyway, I'm not really even trying to do... It's been a long time ago, I tried to do voices for characters. If you remember, I did that really hard in a Your Turn to Die. And more recently, I completely abandoned doing that. Because it just wasn't fun for me for some reason. I just stopped doing it. But anyway, it's way off any sort of inflection Kurokawa would use. Anyway, if you listen to the explanation, you'll know right away. Okay, non-stop. This is another absorb. Gunshot chest wound. Wood plank, Teruya's behavior, flash and smoke grenades. Okay, gunshot chest wound is probably the one we use, actually. Why do you think Teruya isn't the culprit? Oh, this is long. When Teruya passed the door to my room. He sent a letter to Haruhiko. Afterwards, he went inside the arsenal for his next plan. That is the explanation so far. But after that, Teruya passed the door to my room again. There was no movement until the morning after. But they were... Even if Teruya did plot something, even if Haruhiko handhills exploded, the direct cause of death is still unknown. True, Teruya didn't mention that he used the gun himself. Teruya, who came out of the arsenal before Haruhiko could not kill. The arsenal was blocked from the inside. Does anyone know about this? No one, I couldn't refute or agree with anything with the gunshot wound. I could refute something. But, that wasn't something I should have refuted. After listening to Kurokawa's words, it seems like something comes to my mind. If we know about Teruya, yeah, it was around then, when I found the corpse with Teruya. What was there before? I tried to open the blocked door with Teruya. The reason the door was blocked at that time was because... Okay, so what the flash of smoke grenades, wood plank. Teruya's wood plank. Okay, so it's wood plank or smoke grenades. This is... Okay, he did do that. That is correct. I don't need to, refute that. Yes, that is that. Yes, you did explain that. And you have done so far. The direct cause of death is a gunshot wound. That is correct. But it's yellow, not blue, so I can't use the truth bullet that's the gunshot wound on it. Because it's not a refutation. You have to refute the yellows. Wood plank. Okay, let's wood plank her. Okay. Wood plank on Mikako. Second to last line. The wood plank. Are you referring to this Kurokawa? That is right, Maeda. You mean the broken wood plank that fell near the arsenal door? Yeah, according to Maeda, he opened the arsenal door in the morning with Teruya's help. You're not going to say that just because they opened the door together, he's not the culprit, are you? That is not it. Think about it. After Teruya entered and left the arsenal in the morning, Haruhiko entered afterwards. Until that moment, the door to the arsenal was open. Then the door was blocked with the wood planks. Well, when was it? It is for the fact that Kobashikawa could open the door and went in doesn't mean that means the door was blocked after that. That is true, but according to Dark Circle's testimony, Otori did not even enter the arsenal after doing his little scheme. In other words, Teruya wasn't the one who blocked the door with the wood plank. It's only natural. When I tried to open the door with my head in the morning, I was embarrassed to know that the arsenal, which had only been opened, was not opening. As I said before, you must pass by Kurokawa's room. Even if you don't, you can head to the arsenal door. After that, the door to the arsenal was opened one more time. At that time, Teruya finished his plan. Yeah, it was like you could have gone all the way around, right? That is impossible. Since Haruhiko was the last one to enter, the arsenal door has been only opened once. If Teruya went in and out of the arsenal, I should have heard the sound twice. Well, for starters, the wood plank was used to clasp the door, I guess. If you do something like this from the inside, won't you be able to come out? That's true. But even if you put a plank by some trick from outside, there wasn't just one plank. You know what I'm talking about, right, Maeda? There wasn't just one plank? Yeah, I saw it clearly. The thing that fell from the plank near the door. At the same time it fell to the ground as soon as the plank was crushed and made a loud noise. That thing was... flash and smoke grenades. Okay, so choose bullet. Flash and smoke grenades. Okay. Right, the objects that were separated from the plank. You mean the flash and smoke grenades, correct? Flash and smoke grenades? Are those things that were the things near the door? Yes, when Teruya and I first opened the door, we heard a shattering sound from the inside, and immediately afterwards a tremendous amount of light and noise hit us. And after a few moments, when we opened our eyes, the arsenal was filled with smoke. After pulling out the plank from the handle, the door was open and the plank fell because of the effort you put in. That is correct. Now you see, it's impossible to block the door like that from the outside. What, then, are you saying Otori-kun is not the culprit? Wait a moment, but it was me who wrote the letter and had a gun ready to explode. That was the reason Haru saw the gun, and then it exploded in his hand. I told you a little while ago. It is true that Haruhiko's right hand was ruptured, but the cause of death was a gunshot wound. Teruya, you only prepared the gun, but you didn't shoot Haruhiko, did you? No. Hold it. Teruya had an obvious murder intent. Now, it's a contradiction to say that he isn't the culprit. What's wrong, Mr. Psychocop? Using forceful logic in that way doesn't seem like it would reach an answer like this. I mean, yeah, you could think he's a murderer, but that's not the Monokuma logic we're trying to solve right now. Dark Circles is right. I don't think Teruya Otori is the killer either. Then who is the culprit? You're saying it's impossible for Teruya to block the door, however, no one else can do it. That's true. That's the biggest mystery in this case. So what you're saying is, in short, it is an impossible crime. On why are we getting this full body? Oh. Okay, drop a save. And keep going. Okay, that was the intermission came early there. Middle. An impossible crime? What does that mean? It's literally what it means. The incident happened, but no one in this state is capable of causing the incident itself. That can't be. I can affirm there's no such a thing as an impossible crime in this world. I agree with this. There is no unsolved problem in the world. When a result has happened, it means that there was a series of processes. In this case, how do you explain it? Mikako, are you really stumped by this? I believed in you! To assert that this was an impossible crime, you gave up on the case. There is a secret that has not yet been solved, where your thoughts don't reach to the end. But if neither Kinjo-kun and Makaru, who always knew the critical points of the case, weren't confused enough to say that, it's already a mystery that can't be solved? Shut up. Do I look like I'm panicking right now? Sorry, but it looks like that. It's been a few days now, but these days Kinjo-kun is not Kinjo-kun at all. Just like Maeda-kun before coming to the ballroom. You're being very annoying, damn criminal. Kinjo, why are you saying that? It's not really like you to get emotional so easily. Ignore it. Now we're on a trial. This is a life or death war. If you take care of someone who loses their temper during a war, you'll have to go through them. There's no other option. This person or that person. I'm done again. This case isn't an unsolved crime. Let's organize the information. Kinjo. First, even if we put on hold Teria's claim that the crime is impossible, it will be necessary to look at the case from a different point of view. A different point of view? In retrospect, all of the reasoning we've done so far is based on Kurukawa's testimony. Let's step back here for a moment. Has anyone ever seen Kurukawa spying on the hallway? Well, what do you mean? In short, Kurukawa's testimony is not too blind. But are Kurukawa's words 100% true? She would be hungry in extreme circumstances. Would she bear with that in mind? Lastly, there could be a possibility that Kurukawa was the culprit. When that idea comes up, she could be playing with all of us. Kinjo. Need to cast the demon out of Kinjo now. Hey, did you go crazy? Did you really flip around that fast? That stuff that comes from your mouth. What? I'm talking about possibilities. At the time of Tamori's murder, during Kinjo's testimony, you put a thread on our private room doors to prove our alibis. But that was evidence that no one else knew other than Kinjo. It's the same story. It's different from that. What I've been doing at that time is what I've been doing before the incident, and this is just simply that you've seen and heard testimony. It is meaningless to condemn the truth or falsehood in a testimony. Did you forget what you said? It's utterly disappointing, Tsurugi Kinjo. Even though I was thinking you were just a crazy guy, I admitted your reasoning skills, but now you've stopped thinking with your head. But since the situation is quite desperate, isn't Kinjo trying to do everything he can? Kurukawa, is there no way to prove it? Your testimony, I mean. I don't know, why do I have to do this? Why not ask Satsuki or Teruya? Huh? You've heard about my testimony. Teruya admitted that he entered the arsenal a while ago. What about Satsuki? If I was out at dawn, well, like Kurukawa said, since I'm the killer above top, of course I wandered around at dawn. Even if we ignore the backstory, Dark Circle's testimony is reliable in its own right now. If I were you, I would have known that right away, without having to do this cumbersome work. You're noisy. As long as your reasoning hits a wall, it's a way to do what you can. Hey, you admitted with your own words that your reasoning was blocked now. That's funny. Be quiet, Makaru. You are at the same level as we are right now. Do you think you're in a position to mock others now? That is enough. Now we know where the real authority lies. Actually, it lies in Yuki, because he's the protagonist. But we haven't seen that manifest yet. How come Kurukawa can have this powerful voice in a class trial? Everyone don't get worked up, since this is a difficult case. A difficult case. We need to regain stability more than usual. So let's calm down and look back again from the beginning. There must be something we missed. Sorry, as Maeda says, I was getting too excited. I apologize. Then Teruya Otori is not the culprit. I'm sure up to this point. Even if that's true, we'll have to double check. Teruya, are you really sure you sent a letter to Haruhiko and loaded the bullets? Yo, yeah. I'll say, I still can't believe I'm not the culprit. I didn't really read the Monokuma file properly, so in a hurry. I saw the right hand ruptured, so I guessed I was the one who did it. That probably isn't a lie. Teruya really thought he was the killer. He said a little while ago, as if confessing, he told us he was going to be executed. It's not likely, but something came to my head. Can I speak? Go ahead. An accomplice. Or in fact, there were two culprits. Oh, I did accidentally skip that somehow. Dismissed. Anyways, all opinions hurt your brain like that or what? I didn't even expect it. Rubbish opinions like that? A story not worth considering. Anything like that. Just crumple it. Take it out with your brains and throw it into the trash. That's unfair. I said that because I was just thinking in my own way. If Teruya had an accomplice, there would have been a person who objected at the time of him being accused as the culprit. Even if not, Teruya would have confessed everything and made a mistake in the end. But what if there was a real criminal and pointed out Otori-kun as the culprit? Everyone except the real culprit dies, right? Can't you think about a development like the culprit used Otori-kun? Oh, you're using your head, but that wouldn't be it. Even if a culprit secretly works behind Teruya Otori to cover up his sins, it is impossible to work without him because of the limited circumstances of the arsenal. And even if there is an accomplice, if we believe using Kurokawa's testimony, the only suspect remaining is Hiranami, so she can't be. Huh? Wait a minute. I have a thought that something passed like a flash in my head just now. No, I am the real culprit. You are relentless. Why are you claiming to be the killer? Even after that, you don't know anything about this case. You're more like the more you claim to be the culprit, the more you claim your innocence. You still don't notice? Let's organize our thoughts. First, Teruya is not the culprit. He didn't shoot. What Teruya did was call Haru by using a letter and make a trap that explodes the gun by misloading a bullet. And the person who killed Haruhiko himself. In other words, what the real culprit did, what Teruya didn't do, that is, grabbed a gun to kill Haruhiko, messed up the interior of the arsenal, and finally locked the door with the plank and the grenades. Teruya doesn't know what the real criminal did. If we think like that, conversely, does the culprit know what Teruya did? No, the real culprit wouldn't know what Teruya did. As Makaru said earlier, what Teruya did was unknown to anyone since he was in the closed space of the arsenal. Unless the culprit directly sees it or Teruya tells them in advance. Then who is the killer? Wait, guys, there is something I want to check for a moment. Maeda? Before Kurokawa watched during the morning, from that point on, what if someone was hiding inside the arsenal? Could there be such a case? No, I don't think it would happen. Kinjo was tied up, and I saw Taira going to her room before. Mekaru, the last time she went into the empty room, to the left of the dance hall, she didn't exit the room at all. When did you see this? Well, you're right, I was investigating the empty room all day long. Then there are only two suspects that Kurokawa has seen, and they don't know what each one have done. In other words, the real culprit doesn't know that Haruhiko received the letter, and they don't know why his hand was ruptured, but for some reason Haruhiko was shot with a gun and killed. there's someone who could fit the conditions right now. That turned themselves at the start of this. That turned themselves in at the start of this trial. They entered in the suspect view since they moved at dawn. And no one else can commit the crime at this stage. What does that even mean? But is this person really the culprit? If so, why in the world? Okay, I didn't really understand that. Zinky was saying could somebody hiding in there from the beginning, right? Okay, well, we'll do Satsuki here. Wait, it's like it's cross. It's like coming from the eye. Yeah, it's over the eyes too. That's like an extra effect. Oh man, she's so Junko looking. We'll do it, but... So choose person. Choose Satsuki. Satsuki. All you guys won't want to admit it, but I think I know now the identity of the culprit. What, Maeda-kun, you know the killer? The person who satisfies all the conditions as the true culprit in this case, it can only be you, Satsuki. What? Satsuki is the killer? Hooray, you finally come to think of me as the culprit. Only Yuki understands me. I'm so glad. Wait, Maeda, look at her now. She was picked as the culprit, but she looks rather content. Do you really think that Satsuki is the culprit? Think about it. The only one who could possibly do this is Satsuki. At the beginning of the trial, when Satsuki came out saying she was the culprit, we were trying to interrogate her to see if she really was. However, Satsuki has no idea of the letter that called Haruhiko and his destroyed right hand, which we thought the culprit would know about, of course. So we thought because of these reasons that she wasn't the real culprit. But take a look. The two things mentioned earlier are actually from Teruya's doing, not the culprit's. Teruya didn't know that there was someone who killed Haruhiko by shooting him with a separate gun. So, on the contrary, did the culprit know that Teruya sent a letter and destroyed his hand? Probably not. It would be impossible to know Teruya's actions unless he himself told the culprit in advance. Then the real culprit would be a person who doesn't know why the letter was sent to Haruhiko's room, and his right hand had exploded, even though they didn't know why his hand ended up that way. And there is someone who meets those conditions, that person who confessed with their own voice that they killed Haru by shooting them, but didn't mention about the right hand nor the letter, and that person is Satsuki. Oh, well, I'm not sure that you're saying because it's difficult, what you're saying because it's difficult, but anyways, that's right. It was me, I killed Haruhiko. I think Maeda-kun's reasoning is making sense, but I don't really understand Satsuki-chan's appearance being like that. Why did you do this, Satsuki-chan? Why do you like it so much when you're being named as the killer? Kobashikawa-kun, who is close to Satsuki-chan with her own hands. How can you say it so lightly that you killed him? Aren't you sad? Think again, incompetent. Of course, it's possible to commit the crime, as you said, but there's only that woman. But that is absolutely not the reaction of a killer. I'm not crazy. It's very normal. Actually, I don't know why Satsuki reacts like that and keeps saying that she's the culprit. However, I can't think of any other reasoning. Maeda's words make sense. In fact, at the time Teruya was not found to be the killer. It was enough to doubt Satsuki because of the circumstances. Maybe, as soon as the trial began, Satsuki couldn't be the culprit. We were stuck in stereotypes, and we didn't think about it more through. Or you give it more thought. Satsuki, I'll check once more. Are you the culprit? Haruhiko, you killed him with a gun in your hand? Yeah, that's right, I'm the killer. Wait, if you're the real culprit, can you explain why you're so positive? You were like the one constantly appealed to him as the culprit. I mean, she would have to have a gun, put a bullet in it, and shoot it, and the shell would have remained in the chamber. I don't know. Just when the trial started, it became bothersome to make excuses, so that's why I just confessed. Now, if it's decided to go ahead and execute me. If you sound so refreshingly like that, it doesn't look like you're a criminal, on the contrary. I have my doubts too. In the first place, Satsuki-chan doesn't have a personality to kill, even though she is resolute to this point. Like Makaru said, it would rather seem like we're choosing the wrong killer and we're going to die together. That's not it at all. I was just telling the truth. What do I do? It's hard to make sure after identifying the killer. This attitude Satsuki has, it's a reaction that defies understanding, like Makaru said. Even like this, can I still point Satsuki as the culprit? Everyone stop. Why are you thinking about a crime? A crime is possible, but the reaction is weird. Wake up already. The crime is impossible, even for Satsuki. Why is that? For Kinjo, based on the testimony by Kurukawa, Haruhiko, Teruya, and Satsuki, Teruya and Satsuki entered the arsenal at dawn. Of them, Teruya was the first to come out of the arsenal, and Haruhiko entered the arsenal, and because he was walking through the corridor with Satsuki just before this point. If they entered the arsenal together, then that means perhaps it was at this time that Haruhiko used the gun. And this is likely to be true just by looking at the sounds of the arsenal opening and Satsuki coming out alone from the corridor. Back off, Maeda. You said it with your own words just now. Satsuki kills Haruhiko and gets out of the arsenal all alone. If she came out, why did she lock the door then? Ah. It's a clue that you guys found and checked yourselves, right? It is impossible to block the door from the outside in that way. If so, the killer was in the arsenal at least until Maeda and Teruya opened the door. However, Satsuki came out of the arsenal before this. Does this sound like she could still be the killer? If you look at Satsuki's reaction, the girl used a weapon, but it seems like she doesn't know that the arsenal was blocked. So now what? Is Satsuki a ninja now? What was that again? Oh wait, I know, maybe you don't know. But what if you used a plank of wood as a barricade? It seems you were asleep during the trial. How about it? Is there anyone who still thinks Satsuki is the culprit? After listening to Kinjo, I see that Satsuki is really not the culprit. In the end, the problem lies with the arsenal door being blocked. If we solve this, there should be no problem, even if Satsuki is the culprit. Even if you think about it again, it is impossible to put a wood plank inside the arsenal from the outside with grenades on it. There's no time frame at all. I think the current prerequisites were all wrong. The public here probably won't solve this mystery. I'd rather go back from the very beginning and reorganize the case instead. Well, that sounds nice and all, but I hate it when the trial is taking too long, don't you? It's not a warning, but you better wrap things up soon. The alibis of Dawn, Kurukawa's testimony, Teruya's behavior, the wood plank that blocked the arsenal, and Satsuki's incomprehensible reactions. Maybe, have we missed something here? Why does Satsuki have that attitude in the first place? Even Kinjo seems to be confused. Our reasoning is at the very core right now. I think Kinjo is right. Blocking the door to... This is a big problem. My mind is getting more and more complicated. Right now, this is the most important aspect of the case. The arsenal door, the wood plank, the grenades. How to block the door from the outside. Wait. You don't need to go back to the start. If you think about it a little, it should become clear. It's another waste of time. Wait a minute. What's the reason for the flash grenade in the smoke screen? At the moment the door opens, if the criminal hidden inside escapes through the light and the smoke, then the trick to block the arsenal from the inside is solved. But I'm afraid not. This was already mentioned. It's ridiculous when you think about it. Dark Circle's testimony at the very beginning. It's been seen that Teruya, Otori, and Satsuki, both of them, Tsuki Uronami, both of them came out of the arsenal. Inside the arsenal, the last one who came out was Satsuki, I'm sure. But opening the door and coming out of the arsenal means the door was not blocked until that last moment. Well, in a word, does that mean that the body of Haruhiko was left alone in the arsenal until just before Maeda and I opened the door together in the morning? Doesn't make sense. It wasn't that the body was alive and blocked the door alone. Oh no, this is starting to sound creepy somehow. Akane, you solved it! Huh? Tyra, wait a second. What did you just say? It's starting to get creepy. No, before that. The body moved to block the door like a zombie from a movie? Well, of course it won't. Such health science is unscientific. It's like that bear in front of our very eyes. It's unscientific. Hey, what the heck did you just say? I'll have you know, I'm a cutting-edge science product. The body moved to block the door. Of course, a reality like that does not exist. But as Teruya said earlier, it was Haru alone who remained in the arsenal until the end. No way. Could it be? Or could it be? The person who blocked the door to the arsenal, the person identity is... Yay, it's a name, so I know how to spell it. No. Okay. So we have a hangman. Okay, Kobashikawa. So we want a ko. Oh, there's a ko right there. Ba. Ah, missed it. Come on, give me. There's a call. Ah, gotcha. Shikawa. Ah, what is this? Haru. Ru. Ah, he. Haruhiko. Kobashika. No. Where's my he? Ah, there it is. Ah. Come on, give me letters. Oh, there it is. Got it. That's it. It has to be only him. They did it, the person who blocked the door to the arsenal. Really, Mannequin? How do you know who the killer is? I don't think you're about to say it was Kobashikawa just because the body moved, right? I was just joking. No, thanks to Tyra, I can come up with something else. That's right. The only one that could block the arsenal door was none other than Haruhiko. Haruhiko is the culprit? You're saying he committed suicide? Wait, have you forgotten? As Monokuma said, suicide is forbidden, and if you kill yourself in any way or form, he will treat it as a dog death. Haruhiko was murdered by someone other than himself. That's why Monokuma treated this as a case that a class trial was being held like this. No, Maeda never said that he committed suicide. He said the person who blocked the door to the arsenal was Haruhiko. What? Like Maeda said, the person who killed Haruhiko with the gun is the killer, Satsuki. But it was impossible for Satsuki, the task of blocking the arsenal, but it was possible for Haruhiko. How about it? This means the reason why Satsuki can't be the culprit is now gone. Okay, so then what they're going to do is they're going to say that Haruhiko and Satsuki worked together to get Satsuki out of here. And the reason, so the whole door blocking thing was something to make it look like Satsuki was not the one who did it. And then Satsuki would just claim to be the culprit nonchalantly so that everyone would think she wasn't the culprit. Trying to reverse psychology everybody, isn't she? No, that can't be possible. The fact that Haruhiko blocked the door to the arsenal is just a simple assumption. That may be possible in context, and there is no evidence of this. No evidence? No, there is proof of this. I don't mean it will just because Haru blocked the door without any evidence. But Kinjo would be unaware of this evidence. Why does he argue so much? No, let's not bother right now. Now the case comes first. The evidence that Haru may have blocked the arsenal door is... Okay, so choose bullet. Okay, it's the unnatural bloodstains, right? Unnatural bloodstains. There is evidence. It's the blood. Blood? P. The blood that splattered in the arsenal. Everyone has seen it, right? Didn't you think it was a little strange looking? Oh, it certainly felt a little weird. It felt like, you know, like it was a road made of blood rather than a blood spot. Blood spot. That's right, it looks like bloodstains wandering around the arsenal. After Haruhiko was shot, wouldn't it explain that he was bleeding while looking for boards, flash, and smokescreen grenades? It is plausible, but would it be compelling that Haruhiko Kobashikawa himself locked the door to the arsenal simply by looking at his blood? It's not reasoning, but a realm of speculation. But it is not a contradiction. Only Haruhiko has a certain percent possibility. And if the culprit dragged the body, there's no reason for it, only leaves evidence behind. No, it is a contradiction. Kinjo. I concede that all Maeda's words were all true, but Haruhiko was murdered by a very cruel killer. Let me ask a simple question. Why in the world would the victim help elaborating more tricks for the killer, if not to leave evidence of their crime? The answer is, you don't know about that. But if you wonder around about emotional things, look at only the information left in the case, it makes sense that it is Haruhiko that just closed the door, even with the process of elimination method. This is not about being emotional. This is about the victim helping the killer. There can't be such a thing. Stockholm Syndrome? I don't believe in any of that crap. That kind of thing is psychotic. Even that requires the premise that the killer had some kindness and gentle behavior toward the victim. But does that reflect reality? Did the killer show kindness to Haruhiko? No! Rather, they murdered him! In cold blood! Maeda's reasoning is the worst, not to mention forced and far-fetched. Hey, what is the Stockholm Syndrome? It is when victims are held hostage by robbers or kidnappers, but rather they think of them as their saviors. It's like a phenomenon that antagonizes rescuers, police, etc., and they take the criminal's side. Kinjo, it's weird. If you were the usual you would rather have ruled out such emotional things and reasoned it out by considering the logical situations. You said I was being emotional? This is natural! You just don't see it. If the victim who deserves salvation agrees to the obvious evil, it becomes impossible to reason with. This choice is not logical here. Saving them is what I have to do. I can't leave alone your pretentious reasoning. And besides that, there are loopholes in Maeda's reasoning. But you thought suicide was okay. So you're saying that you can't have someone assist you in your suicide. That's wrong. That doesn't make sense, even though it makes sense to commit the suicide. I'll just do what I have to do. I'll refute you. Oh, we're just gonna do a rebuttal. We're gonna do like a slicer thing. We're gonna do the slicing thing. We're not gonna do the panic talk action with Kinjo. Phew! I'll correct that ridiculous reasoning, Maeda. What the hell are you doing, Kinjo? You know it's best that there's no more to refute here. You're making an unacceptable reasoning from my point of view. That can't happen, and it shouldn't happen. And if there's anything to refute, then I'll do it, Maeda. From now on, this will happen. Would you like a refresh? Actually, yes. Because I forget. Oh, well. Never mind then. Why are there so many of those? Okay. Why does the victim... blah, 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 blah. She tried to kill Haruhiko. Okay. Tori's testimony. Cut finger. Why would you want the killer to help you on your own death? Oh no, I progressed from that somehow. However, it's impossible for Satsuki to block the door to the arsenal. At that point, it's only Haruhiko in the arsenal who could have done this. Kurokawa, gunshot wounds, Atori's cut finger, Kinjo's testimony. First Haruhiko was shot in the chest. Without seeing anything, instant death. Oh, Kinjo's own testimony. Ah, phooey. Come on, me. You know, I have to go around again. I'm gonna lose, like, a heart or something. Whoa! Man, this is gonna be so much easier when I have Kinji's skill than I do the original build, because he has a skill that helps with this. Annihilates it. Okay. That was weird. Weird animation. Use Kinjo's testimony. Second round. Okay. I'm like down to 2 hearts now. Kinjo, what's wrong? That's wrong. Haruhiko did not die immediately. You can say what you want, Maeda. As I said, Haruhiko had his chest pierced. Since the bullet hit his body with a wound like that, he would have no choice but to die immediately. No, Haruhiko did not die immediately. His chest was struck, but the bullet penetrated through Haruhiko without getting stuck in his body. Because the amount of shock is relatively less than one that gets stuck, it would have been possible for him to move. Speculations. Anyone could make that claim. Stop it now, Kinjo. This is not speculation. It was you, Teruga Kinjo, who told me this. Incompetent, is that true? If it's about the bullet pierced, of course, I am well aware of it, but was it the cop who told you about this? Yes, during the investigation, I thought he would have died because he was shot in the chest at first, but Kinjo told me, I heard that his death might not have been immediate, but he could have trouble breathing, so he would have been, he would have been able to be able to move for a little more time. That's, at that time, I just said it as a guess only. Kinjo-kun, why are you arguing so much? In this case, it's like Kinjo-kun is the culprit. We named Satsuki-chan as the culprit, and Kobashikawa-kun did the back work. But why are you still arguing so much? Shut up, criminal! Haruhiko was murdered! He was also labeled as the victim that I had to protect. A victim who deserved protection was actually on the killer's side? That's something like that, it can't be. Kinjo. Yeah, I can't listen to this far-fetched logic. According to your logic, Kizuna Tomori was also a victim, but in reality, she was actually a terrifying bitch who was planning a crime. Are you saying that she would tolerate Tomori's murder plan? That's wrong. In that case, was due to the accident, not the victim. Also, refuting such a subject to the incompetent, which it was, Haruhiko Kobashikawa tried to kill Satsuki Ironami. It makes no sense to help him in the situation where it leaves more evidence to the culprit. But look here, the victim you had to protect was the reverse tortured after trying to kill someone? They are very good citizens indeed. No. No, 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 no. I am, what the hell am I for so many days, Kinjo? Kinjo? Kinjo-kun is down! Kinjo, wake up! Kinjo? Hey, hold it right there. We're still in a trial. I'll admit going out of the courtroom at your own will. But Kinjo is... Oh, this is a headache. Fainting and getting upset during a trial. It's a taboo to get out from the courtroom during the trial. But I guess it can't be helped. Kinjo-kun, I'll take him to the dormitory. You guys don't have to move. Stay in your seats. But, does he get a vote? Everyone's been waiting for a while, right? Kinjo-kun arrived safely to his dorm bed, so don't worry about it and let's continue the trial. But this doesn't make things fun. Now Kinjo-kun is outside the courtroom. The fact that he sent out means that he wasn't the culprit. Now the number of people has decreased by 1. Dun. Kinjo, I'm sure he'll be okay. Wait, you can still be the culprit. You can still vote for him, right? I guess it's like, that's no fun, because now we can't see him do a breakdown as the culprit. Whatever. It's the first time that Kinjo looked like that. As Monokuma said, we're still on trial. Forget about him for now. He's not even dead, is he? Alright. He's not even dead. So where did we leave off? The culprit is Satsuki. She couldn't lock the door to the arsenal. Only Haruhiko. Is it okay to make this decision then? Does anyone have a different opinion? A different opinion? I think that's the only thing we have. There's no disagreement. Of course, it's logical. As Kinjo Tsurugi said, I also don't understand why Haruhiko Kobashikawa, in the victim's position, helped the killer. That's, well, I don't know either. After all, it's like, we won't get a different decision now, right? Then, if you name me as the culprit, there will be no complaints, and no one will be dissatisfied. Wait, not yet. What else? I'm having a Makaru moment. You said that there was no reason to disagree? Why did Haruhiko Kobashikawa help the killer? And why this killer is so excited? Hick. The same goes for me. Satsuki, the reasoning about this case is over, perhaps only looking at the reasoning result. I can't argue that Satsuki is the culprit. However, why? Why call yourself the killer? Are you trying to die? Why, you ask? Well, like I said earlier, it became a nuisance, so that's the good reason, right? I'm not good at lying, but I think I do better than Satsuki-chan. Don't mess around. You'll be executed if you let this go. So, but if you die, the truth of this case will remain as a matter that will be solved. Huh? I'm a woman who doesn't give up until I know 100% the problem I've challenged. Please tell us, Satsuki, if you really are the culprit, you have the duty to take responsibility for your actions. Tell me, when I thought I was the culprit, all I could do was get blamed. What are you trying to hide? Let us hear it, Satsuki. I don't know! I'm just the culprit, that's all I am. Wow, she started shouting. Breakdown sprites. I don't know. Baka. Satsuki? As long as she stays like this, we'll have to force you to open your mouth, Satsuki. With our hands. About the secretless incident in which Haru was involved, and the reason for your actions in claiming that you were the real culprit all along. Terminate talk shouting, is that what they're gonna call this? Would you like to listen to the tutorial? I hate this! No, it's gonna be in Korean. Time to quiet down the clown. Prepare to die, Steelator. It's like, assume the position. No, I shall not give up. I shall persevere. I can win. Did I lose? Yes, I lost. Okay, that one is not nearly as hard as Kinji's. So I failed it, but I think it can be beaten. Okay. Ugh. But I only have one more shot at it. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. Ah, that one got me twice in a row. Ah. Come on, reload. Okay. The other pistol that broke Haru's hand. Oh. I only have 1 health left. The reasoning isn't over yet, Satsuki. It's already over? No, it's not. There's one more thing we've overlooked and crossed. Does anyone know? Was there anything like that? As Satsuki-san said, wasn't the reasoning over? It's about the pistol that destroyed Haruhiko Kobashikawa's right hand. That's right. Because we decided it was Teruya's doing earlier, we went over it. Actually, if you think a little bit, it wasn't Teruya that destroyed Haruhiko's right hand. What are you saying? That makes no sense, Maeda. I replaced the bullet, and Haruhiko grabbed it as intended, and his right hand was destroyed. Stupid fool. If what you say is true, the gun he touched should have been shattered as well. Why would it remain intact? Oh right, come to think of it, even when Otori-kun was rushed as the culprit, he said he didn't know why it ended up like that. That's right, I was freaking out for excuses. Then, when I think about it again, if Haru uses the gun that as I intended, the gun should have blown up. Teruya? Are you sure you didn't touch 2 guns? Right, I can assure you this, trust me, I only touched the one gun unconditionally. Wait a minute, then won't it get even more weird? Unless Teruya-kun did it, why did Kobashikawa-kun get caught in the same trap Okori-kun did and injure his right hand? That can't be deduced by us alone, except for one person, Satsuki. I don't know. No, you most likely know why. Satsuki, don't you remember? At the beginning of the class trial, you said Haruhiko tried to shoot you, and then you grabbed a gun and shot him in self-defense and ended up killing him. From here on out, it's just my thoughts. If Satsuki's words were true, wouldn't it have been that Haruhiko knew the gun would explode? He knew it was going to explode? Deliberately breaking his hand, he was trying to commit suicide? Maybe so. Let me tell you this, it is just unfounded imagination. Just listen for now. I don't know how someone changed the bullets in the same manner that Teruya did, but it probably was Haruhiko himself who did it. Since the second half of the trial, the word suicide continued to rattle. Because this case was just too weird to see it as an ordinary murder scenario, Haruhiko did not commit suicide, because Monokuma doesn't deal with suicides. Even if he wanted to commit the act, he wouldn't have done it because it just ends in wasted death. So perhaps he thought about it like this, was Haruhiko trying to save Satsuki? Tried to save her? Deliberately aiming at Satsuki, the gun that exploded when shooting, surprised Satsuki shoots in response. Even if she shot the floor, she doesn't get hurt and only his hands fly away. And because Satsuki shot him, his death wasn't treated as suicide. Later, when Satsuki leaves in surprise, he remains alone in the arsenal. He himself does the extra effort to make the case even more complicated. Like, for example, blocking the door to the arsenal and messing with the guns. Well, of course, there's no evidence of this. It's just my imagination. The fact that Haruhiko blocked the door seems to be trying to help the killer, so I thought about it as a basis. Haruhiko, in order to save Satsuki, means he gave up his life? Well, he would have been shot anyway. Hold on, that's plausible, but you always finish with the line of your imagination. There's 0% chance that the incompetence words are true. Why? I was listening to my etiquette and I was rather thinking that was the truth. Because you like my etiquette. Think first. He gave up his life and tried to save someone else. Humans aren't that simple. They would be afraid to do that. Even in an ordinary circumstance, but it would be even more unreasonable in an extreme situation where there's no food and living like us. But, not long ago, Hatano, for Taira, she threw her life away. Ayame-chan? That's not the case now. At that time, even the most extreme situation wasn't there, and she didn't save Akane Taira with 100% pure intentions. Did you forget, Ayame Hatano clearly had a desire to save Akane Taira, but she also wanted to escape from here. She committed murder with such a sloppy heart, although she eventually revealed her true face to us. However, in the case of Haruhiko Kobashikawa, like Ayame Hatano, there was not a single reason for themselves. According to the incompetent, he gave up his life, or tried to, but failed, 100% purely to only save Satsuki Uranami. No matter how close Haruhiko Kobashikawa was with Satsuki Uranami, it would be absurd to say that they were family members and gave up their lives in these extreme circumstances. Of course, if that's true, then it deserves my respects. I know, but I said it was an unfounded idea. You didn't really have to refute it like that. Of course, I'm not saying it's absolutely impossible to think that crazy cop. I don't think so. But it is absurd. If he had been thinking of Satsuki Uranami like that, he would have done something earlier, but I don't have a clue. But if Maeda-kun's words are wrong, how would you describe the reason for Kobashikawa-kun's right hand? I'll have you think about that more. As expected, it's not going to work out the way I thought. It seems like it's too absurd, as Makaru says, that it's very difficult for someone to make a decision in order to save her life, to the point of even giving up his life. Well, here's what's weird. I don't get it. How would it work, right? He's going to point a gun at her, pull the trigger, blow his hand off, and die. But why would he even why would he need to save her? Would she kill him anyway? Maybe he's trying to save Teruya? Why would he think that she would try to kill him? And he would need to die so that she didn't have to kill him. Like, I thought that Satsuki would have only brought up the gun if first Kobashikawa pointed a gun at her. If Kobashikawa pointed a gun at her, he's baiting her to commit a murder, which will cause her to die by execution. That's not saving her life. Did he think that she would miss? Is that the idea here? Anyway, there's no objections that Satsuki is the culprit, is there? Do we really want to go over Haruhiko's right hand? I'd like this wrapped up as soon as possible. I'm getting bored of it. No, but we have to know the truth of this case. It's true. What? Yuki, are you a psychic? It's exactly as if you've read someone's mind. What are you talking about? I don't feel like an adult to keep trying to hide it, and to be a nuisance to all of you. I don't think the trial will ever be over at this rate. And as Yuki said, as long as you commit a murder, you gotta be responsible for it. Satsuki? Where should I start? Oh yeah, since Kobazin came to my room early in the morning. You know, until this moment came, I couldn't imagine how everything played out. Who is it, Kobazin? What's wrong? Going around at dawn like this, you'll get hungry. I think I'm going to die hungry, then killed. Tatsuki, this is not a joke, so listen seriously. I have something to say to you. Kobazin? Okay, tell me. It will take a little time. Follow me for a minute. Kobashikawa. Isn't this the arsenal? Why this place? Satsuki, is your body okay? You haven't eaten anything in a few days now. Is it painful? Yeah, I'm hungry enough to die, but except for that, I'm fine. Well, what's all this all of a sudden? It's giving me goosebumps. Actually, I have a favor to ask you. What do you want to ask? Kill me. What are you saying? Did you commit a sin for being a perv? I get it. It's delightful that Kobazing is lusting for his girls, but it's not enough to kill you. I said I wasn't playing around. So sorry. No, it was my bad. Sorry, I shouted it out of nowhere. Damn it, how do I explain this? Kabashikawa, are you about to die? I've been thinking all this time, when this division was born, it was our fault, right? Even if we had a little more food left, it would have been so serious. I can't deny it. Besides, until now, Kinjo was guarding the arsenal, so no murders occurred. But eventually, Kinjo went crazy. No one is guarding the arsenal right now. If we don't make a decision now, someone will definitely commit a murder. So that's what Kobashikawa wants to say, okay? You mean that the two of us who are the most guilty will take responsibility? Honestly, I didn't want to involve you. It was me who first suggested to eat the food. I wanted to end up by dying if I could. But I remembered Monokuma's words. A murder case must happen in order to escape the ballroom, and a suicide is not accepted. In the end, you can't solve it alone, so you need someone else's help, but the person who helps you will also be bound for execution for being the culprit. So I'll be in risk of death too. Yeah, I have no other person to suggest. Only Teruya or you, who committed the same crime. But you know, me and him are in bad ways right now. Of course, I have no intention to recommending this. The moment you accept this, you will die, Satsuki. Okay, I'll cooperate. What? I'm saying I'll do it Kobazing once. So suddenly like this, will you be okay with it? That you're going to die? Well, even if we're in the ballroom, we're going to die anyways. That's not what I... Rather than staying still like this and watching my friends become murderers, or starving them to death, I prefer to save everyone and die with Kobazing. Satsuki, damn it, I'm really sorry because of me. You really are a good girl. However, there's one condition. What condition? I don't want to kill Kobazing, so Kobazing kill me. What are you talking about? It's the same no matter what way we die, but why do you want to die by my hand? If I become the culprit, I'll be executed by Monokuma then. I hate that. I'd rather be killed by Kobazing. You're going to grab a gun in the arsenal here anyway and kill me. What, do you think it hurts a lot when you're shot? It's not a pain or a problem. I don't like being killed by a thing like Monokuma. You don't want to? No, there's no way I can kill you. Same goes for me. How can I kill Kobazing? There'll be no end to this. Instead of fighting, why don't we sit down? This is nonsense. That's because Kobazing first looks at me and suggests the impossible thing to kill him. If you can't, why did you accept it? Then don't do it. That's no good. I've already decided. Then kill me already. Oh, I can't do that. I really value Kobazing, so killing my friend is... I'm not happy that I'm your favorite, okay? Wow, Kobazing's face is blushing. Idiot, I'm talking about an important thing here, and we're going back and forth. I'm not messing around. My stomach hurts because I haven't eaten anything. Are you okay? You know, we don't have much time either. The fact that I might die tomorrow. In the meantime, the others may be in pain or planning a murder. Everyone's in trouble. Hatsuki, wait, if we do it like this... Have you ever seen a Western movie? Western movie? Haven't seen it, but I know what it is. They walk back and forth in the courtyard, then turn around and shoot at the same time after some time passes. Yes, let's decide with that. It's called a quick draw. Wah, wah, wah. Anyway, in the worst case of this, we could kill each other. But it's still not suicide, so the others will be able to live. It's uncomfortable that I have to shoot Kobazing, but okay, that would be fair. Let's do it with that. Alright, if it's decided, let's move. Pick one pistol. Kobasing, are you still not done? Why did it take you so long to pick a gun? Wait a minute, almost done. Because he's doing the bullet thing, right? Okay, are you ready, Satsuki? Not a girl who goes back on her word. Besides, it seems to be more fun to decide this way. Fun, you say? I already said it again and again, but seriously. I mean, played a lot of games so far, right? Basketball, running, poker, darts. I was all doing my best without looking at our fights at all. The total was equal. Was it like that? I remember the results of all our previous matches, so probably so far. Kobasing and I had 14 matches, 6 wins, 6 losses, and 2 draws in perfect balance. You really have a good memory on useless places. Suddenly I thought this was the last game, so it made me feel strange. I can't believe that I'm risking my life at all. If you want to give up now, you can tell me. I really don't want to force you. No, because I'm serious too. Like Kobasing said, I'll stop playing around. Are you ready? Yeah. From here, go back and take 3 steps. We'll shoot at the same time after that. Okay. Satsuki! Haruhiko! And he got it, yep. Kobashikawa? Kobashikawa Haruhiko. Why did you do this? Good, Satsuki. The last game was my victory. That's not what I mean. Why did Kobashikawa's hand explode? Sorry. I saw it. This is unbelievable. Let's do it again. I was worried about what would happen if I died immediately in case I was hit in a bad spot. Fortunately, it looks like I'm still alive. I'll tell you what I can. Sorry, Satsuki, I lied. Because you killed me and I wanted to save everyone. That's not the truth. What? Who I really wanted to save was you, Satsuki. Me? It was useless information, so I didn't tell the others because it would just confuse them. But I was searching for a few days and I found a badge with the head of Monokuma on it. Because I found it, Monokuma appeared and said he would give it as a prize and congratulations to me for finding the treasure. That's the treasure Monokuma said. It was really here. There it showed me a photo of me and you kissing, doing a selfie. Kobashikawa, even at a time like this, what kind of joke? It's real. It shows. Our commemorative photo with you as my lover. You shouldn't forget. And then it vanished. Kobashikawa and Sats... We've never done such a thing. It's the same for me too. There are no memories of pictures of me and you. Let alone kissing. We met here for the first time a month ago. But why? It doesn't feel odd. Even if that photo was a manipulation, I felt unknown emotions. And I thought that I didn't want to let you die. I have no idea what you're saying, Kobashikawa. Stop it, it's too cheesy. Put up with it, I'm already going to die anyways. I wanted to say this much. Or maybe I've liked you after some point. Even if I die like this, there are guys like Kinjo, Makaru, and Maeda, so they'll find out about this in a minute. So you better go back to your room. Act as usual, pretend you don't know anything. Leave the rest to me. Why are you saying that, Kobashikawa? Stop it, stop talking. No matter how much they think, they won't know that I, the victim, did all these tricks. Part of it was to pretend to shoot you, on purpose, to give away my right hand. This, the pretty old gun, can explode while pulling the trigger, even if you put normal bullets in the magazine. Kawashikawa, you can't die. No, I'm gonna die. And Satsuki, you can live. Leave it to me. I can't make someone as cheerful and happy as you die like this. Kobasing, I'm sorry for doing this in such a crappy way. And when the trial is over, tell the other guys that you're sorry too. I'm sorry that fought with Teruya. I'm sorry I fought with Teruya. I'm sorry for sacrificing Kinjo and the others. I'm sorry that my feelings don't want Satsuki to sacrifice herself. Damn it hurts really bad. I was saying, don't move, don't die. Of course I'm doing this in order to die. Once you leave, I have to get the job done. You have to go now, before someone sees this. Hate this is wrong, I want to save you. Please go. Because this is my last wish, please listen. I want you to live. But, leave! Yeah, just do that. Thank you, Satsuki. Whether it's real or fake, I still loved you. And then I went back to my room. As Kobashikawa said, I stayed still until morning. I didn't know what trick Kobashikawa was going to do at the time. I wasn't sure until I heard your story in the trial. This is all I know. Like Yuki said, Kobazing was by me while intentionally trying to save me. In order to confuse you while doing so. In other words, he did everything in order to save me. What is this? This is too much. Haruhiko was apologizing to me? And I tried to kill him? I see now. If he saw the letter sent by Teruya, he wouldn't go to the arsenal in reverse. Nevertheless, the reason Kobashikawa went to the arsenal was because Haruhiko didn't even notice Teruya's letter from the very beginning. It was only to sacrifice himself and save only Satsuki. Teruya's stuff was all just kind of incidental. It had nothing to do with anything. Hold on. Then why? Why he did it the same way as Teruya Otori? The gun exploded in his hand the same way. Unless he did some kind of trick and did it in advance. Coincidence? That's what I thought too. But when Haruhiko chose the gun, he was doing something in the corner for a long time. He was kind of the guy who was telling me that guns weren't fun or usual. So I wondered if he was some kind of knowledge about them, had some kind of knowledge about them. The stupid idiot. He really gave up his life for others. And you just kicked the opportunity that he arranged to let you survive. What were you thinking? I don't understand this at all. Well, I don't want to live at the expense of a bunch like Yuki and Mikaru and Kinjo and Teruya. I know that Kobashikawa liked me, and he didn't want to do this. After all this, I've been struggling a lot since then, until the class trial was held. I don't think that's the way. It's so unreasonable for all of you to die for just one person, right? I feel sorry for betraying Kobashikawa, but I'll be happier if you guys live. How can that be? Blood-related familiar actions are a law that puts one's life most importantly. You, for people that just have met. Well, I'm not smart as Mikaru, so I don't think I can give a very cool reason for it. I just told myself that I was the culprit, because it makes me convince myself that I did this. But then why? Why didn't you say everything from the very beginning and hide the truth more suspiciously? Because you didn't even say the backstory, you just said that you were the killer. So it's like a rat confusing reasoning. That was because of Kobashikawa. He decided to take a chance between all of you in order to save me. Because of this, especially if Kinjo finds out, it would seem from Kobashikawa's view, who had already died, that I would have insulted him. I did not want to do anything that would put more disgrace on Kobashikawa anymore, because he already died to try to save my life. It also is like, he decided to he tried to kill everybody but Satsuki, basically. That was his plan. It makes him look bad. That's why I told you at the end. Still, don't think badly of Kobashikawa. He wouldn't have thought of this, and if it wasn't for Kobashikawa, we would all have died. Such a thing. It's not possible. Satsuki-chan, are you really satisfied with that? Even if we live, you will die. No, I'm fine dying, but why are you all so worried? I'm very fine with my choice. No matter what happens, don't forget to smile. It's one of the teachings of my own brother, and it's my belief too. And Eric's mom. If you get that reference. But after Haruhiko died, you cried, right? That's off topic. Please, just think Satsuki wasn't Satsuki for a minute. Satsuki? Yuki, thanks to Yuki, I was able to do everything. Rather, I feel relieved. Oh yeah, I was impressed to see Maeda come up with the whole truth about Kobashikawa. Yuki is a real teacher in my heart. I mean, yes. Well then, Yuki. I think we can finish the trial soon. Give me that thing you always do at the end. That? Yeah, that. Climax reasoning, let's go. That was kind of... Clean your mind up, Sigilitor. No. Tears already. Only have one heart left, so I hope I don't get any of these wrong. And that even costs a heart. Doesn't even notice the letter. Meet Satsuki. They have this argument. And decide to use the guns on each other. This happened. First, this case begins with not from the criminal nor the victim, but from Teruya. Teruya couldn't stand the extreme situation. He began working on a plan to kill Haruhiko, the victim in this case. Teruya first started to write a note to Haruhiko, asking him to come to the arsenal. This was done with the paper and pen that only Teruya had in the ballroom, where there was nothing else other than weapons. Teruya, who had finished writing the note, then put the note through the door frame of Haruhiko's room. This was the same way that Mitch did in the first murder. Hiru did it in the first murder. Mitsuhiro did it in the first murder. Then Teruya, who put the note safely into the room, first entered the arsenal before Haru arrives. This was in order to do some work. That task was to load non-standard bullets into the pistol magazine. When a person shoots the pistol in that state, the gun explodes from the inside and destroys the hand of the person who used it. Teruya used this method to let Haru use the gun and thinking of making him shoot. And that's the reason he went into the arsenal. So it's like, try to convince Haruhiko to shoot him, and then it blow up in his hand. Before anyone else. Having done everything he needed to do, Teruya quickly returned to his room and waited for Haru to come out of his room. Teruya's plan was to enter the arsenal later on with Haru. However, as Teruya returns to his room and stay out watching the hallway, he fell asleep due to accumulative fatigue. It was everything Teruya had influence on in this case. Meanwhile, at that time, Haruhiko was probably having a lot of trouble thinking in his own room. As we just heard, Haru was already planning to save someone dear to him at the cost of his own life. Originally, he felt responsible for running out of food. But the discovery of the treasure was trigger to start this life-threatening plan. As the situation gets more and more extreme, Haruhiko feels like he can't wait any longer and begins acting. He decides to meet with the person who was chosen as the culprit for this case. At this time, whether Haruhiko saw Teruya's note or not is uncertain, but it's very likely he didn't pay attention to it in the first place, because he was immersed in his own thoughts. Haruhiko's plan was also a plan that took place in the arsenal, so if he saw the note calling him to the arsenal, he wouldn't have headed there in the first place. Either by luck or misfortune, if Teruya hadn't fallen asleep, a fairly complicated mess would have unfolded. After a while, Haruhiko safely met the culprit. Until then, the culprit hadn't even realized the true purpose of this case. Haruhiko asked the culprit to quietly follow them into the arsenal. They went into the arsenal side by side. One may have thought no one would know, but in fact all of the actions that Teruya and these two were doing while walking around the corridor up to this point were being shown to Kurukawa. She wasn't sleeping from the very start and was keeping watch in the hallway. In actuality, it was Kurukawa that took up most of the weight into solving the mystery of this case. Because Teruya went to sleep, the killer and Haru entered the arsenal without anyone's interference. Only then Haruhiko, who was alone with the culprit, confessed his feelings for them. I think it went this way. Someone was going to do the murder and asked them to kill themselves before that to save everyone. This is what they asked the culprit to do. Once they accept, the culprit would also be executed for committing a murder. It was certain death, so Haruhiko didn't want to force them into making such a difficult task. But the culprit did not hesitate to respond to Haru's proposal. However, the culprit refused to kill Haruhiko herself. Conversely, they told Haru to kill them instead. Haruhiko did not want to kill the culprit, as the culprit did not want to kill him, and they kept arguing with each other in vain for a while. Until Haruhiko gets this idea. Haruhiko, who felt there would be no end after going on like this, has determined to make a fair suggestion to both sides and asked the decision to shoot each other at the same time, just like a game in a Western movie. In the worst case scenario, both would have been shot and died by each other's hand. It didn't violate the two's goal of saving the others, so the culprit agreed with this proposal and began preparing. Or so they thought. I don't know how Monokuma would deal with that, because there'd be no culprit to vote on. There would be no class trial. The culprit and Haruhiko were choosing. It's like, technically, not a suicide, but it's still against the spirit of the thing. The culprit and Haruhiko were choosing a gun for each other, and we heard that Haruhiko was in the corner of the room. This is probably to manipulate the magazine with the bullets at this phase. We all know the very consequences of this. Indeed, Haruhiko did the same thing Teruya did earlier. It was to load it with non-standard bullets. How Haruhiko did the same thing as Teruya, I'm not exactly sure whether it was a coincidence or not. Maybe it was because Haruhiko had a lot of interest in firearms from the beginning, so I think he accidentally came up with the method by pure chance. Either way, there is only one reason Haruhiko did this. He didn't want to shoot the culprit. The two of them, ready to go, stand a few steps away and pointed their guns at each other after turning around. But even though the culprit sincerely tried to shoot Haruhiko, he was going to lose to them from the very beginning. So as Haruhiko intended, his hand was destroyed and he was shot by the culprit at the same time. The culprit, who couldn't understand the situation, ran to Haruhiko. Then Haru told him the truth. It wasn't us that Haru really wanted to save, it was the culprit themselves. Although Haruhiko was dying, he was hoping that the culprit would survive, and he said he would do the rest to save them since he still was breathing, to do one last act. The culprit was unconvinced, but soon they decided to accept Haruhiko's last request, and left Haru to do the job once they got out of the arsenal. Of course, the trail of this was also being monitored by Kurukawa. After confirming that the culprit was safely gone, Haruhiko began the final cleanup while keeping his short life as much as he could. First, Haruhiko picked up the flash and smoke grenades from the arsenal. And likewise put a wooden plank inside the arsenal door between the handles, and then put the flash and smoke grenades on top of it. This could only be done by the people inside, and thanks to that there was a lot of difficulty when we tried to reason it out. Planks served to make the door to be forced open while being crushed, causing the grenades on top to naturally fall to the floor and activate. Subsequently, Haruhiko started messing around in the arsenal and make it look like the culprit did it, although it didn't connect to anything. As a result of repeating a series of processes of blocking the door and cluttering the interior, Haruhiko's bloodstains were all over the place. Inside the arsenal, creating an unnatural bloodstain like a path of blood. Haru, who finished everything just before his life ends, reached to his feelings of satisfaction because he was able to save someone. Someone he cherished. But didn't. But in the end, later in the trial, the culprit confessed on their own will. However, we weren't able to know that it was Haruhiko who planned all of this. All of this happened at dawn, and later in the morning, Teruya and I broke into the arsenal and Haruhiko's body was found. In fact, in this case, the person who would be called the culprit was close to Haruhiko, and the culprit who just lost his life was the victim himself who actually finished this trick. But in the end, Haruhiko wanted to save the culprit, even at the cost of his life, the culprit of this incident. They did it to the killer who Haruhiko cherished and wanted them to live so much. I wanted to live so much. Satsuki Iranami, it was you. Perfect, indeed, Maeda has good reasoning. But maybe you have a talent for organizing cases too. All the protagonist things, I'm not happy at all. Satsuki Iranami. Satsuki-chan. Why is the mood so sad? I didn't go out to see you like this. Satsuki. You've always been like that. You're a strong girl. Much more stronger than me. Is that a compliment? It's also wrong. I don't know if it's strength or not, but even at times like these, it's my goal to be happy, even in the worst atmosphere. Maybe like physical force production strong, but I still don't think that's what Mikako means. Well then, maybe she has something in her past she regrets. Maeda's reasoning is over now. Shall we get to the voting time? Satsuki, can you really do that? To just die and not be scared? I don't want to die, of course, I'm scared. But I'm already gone water. What else can I do but to accept it? At least not all of you will die, because you all live by sacrificing only one. I'm satisfied with that. Do I get my pay? Do I get paid? Yes, I got paid. Not that I need those. Miss Iranami, why do you keep trying to go ahead of the trial here? I'm the host. Oh well, it doesn't matter. It seems like the guys reached a conclusion. And that's all. Now you guys, vote with the switch in front of your hands. Who will be chosen as the Blackened? Will you make the correct choice? Or the dreadfully wrong one? Now then, what's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? The voting ended unanimously. The culprit in this case, and the Blackened is... The identity of the Blackened who killed Kobashi Kawaken was Miss Satsuki Iranami. You guys are right, congratulations! Actually, what is with this case? A murder case that is not a murder. If I knew it would be like this, I would have made the rules more thoroughly. Hey, isn't it already too late? Yuki doesn't have... They showed Ray's sprite again when it was Yuki dotting. Hey everyone, you guys are doing it badly. As the person in charge of this party, can't you please be a little brighter? There's no way I can be happy. Satsuki-chan is going to die now. Because it's painful. Satsuki worked so hard for us, throwing her own life. We couldn't do anything even after reaching this point. You're wrong. It's not what you can't do anything. Satsuki? Yuki, didn't I told you this? Haven't I told you before? Hope is not to be found, but to be created. You know why I decided to save you all by sacrificing myself? Because that was my own way of creating hope. What do you mean? If I survived by myself, it would have been meaningless to live in a world where there's no fun and no kobazing around. And more than anything, my power to defeat that guy is not enough. Oh? I'm smiling right now, but I'm more angry than anyone inside. I hate the mastermind, don't you guys? We're being treated like this because of that big dummy. If it wasn't for him, Kobashi Kawa wouldn't have died. Maki died, Higa died, Tamori died, Atano died. Yamaguchi wouldn't have died, Inori wouldn't have died, or Yuhara either. We know that, even if we don't, if you say it. If it wasn't for Monokuma's influence, we would have entered Hope's safely and have a pleasant school life. That's right, although more than half of our friends have already died. I want to defeat Monokuma no matter what happens. I want to punish it. I want to smash it. Hey, why are you saying all that stuff in front of someone else's face? So, I'll bet my own hope on all of you. On us. I never wanted much. I'll be leaving this world soon. I just have one thing. No, wait. Please promise me two things. One, be sure to survive for Kobazing and me. Unfortunately, there's a chapter 5. 2, that Monokuma guy, please give a good beating to that mastermind. Full paid revenge. Satsuki-chan, this is bad, really bad. You dare agitate the students as you want in front of me? The headmaster at the school, even insult me in my presence? Annoying. Anyways, Miss Iranami was chosen as the Blackhead, so she used to be punished in the end. You don't make fun of me anymore when I'm done with you. In that regard, I have prepared a very special punishment for the super high school level clown, Satsuki Iranami. Come and give it your best shot. I'm not afraid of anything like you. My friends will definitely kick your sorry butt. Wait, Satsuki, you don't need to be executed. I'd rather die. It's my fault too. I'm a sinner too. It was me who tried to commit a murder. Unfortunately, Monokuma is not God. He does not accept substitutional atonement. I'm supposed to die. Monokuma, execute me. Satsuki has done nothing wrong. Now then, let's go. A very heart-pounding punishment. Monokuma, hold on a minute. Time. Yeah, what? Geez, you're tipsy. Way to ruin the mood. Let me say, my friends, a few last words. Teruya, didn't someone tell you? No one is bad. Monokuma's the bad thing here. Everything is because of that thing. If Teruya keeps feeling guilty, then try harder to catch the mastermind. You don't need to be sorry at all, but if you die and make atonement, then that's the end. Satsuki. And for you, Taira is strong. You have a very strong heart to overcome Ayame's death. Please keep supporting everyone like you always do. Okay. Thank you, Satsuki-chan. Thank you. Next is Makaru. It's the first time I've seen Makaru act so surprised. I don't know what makes her so surprised about, but as long as Kinjo is in that shape, everyone needs a genius like Makaru. I know this kinda as a unreasonable request, but please try to cooperate with everyone and find the mastermind who brought this terrible misfortune on all of us and its victims. And Kurukawa? Stop, shut up. Who said I was waiting for your long speech? Don't say anything disgusting with the smell of hope. Punishment time begins. That's too much. When the villain is found out, you're supposed to wait for them. Let's go hard! Punishment time! Kurokawa and Maeda, I didn't get to say anything to you guys, but I'll leave the rest to you guys. And one more thing, I almost forgot. Kobazing, I love you. Oh, that's just basic. Wait. Oh no. Did you... They ended up like that trying to play a hopeless game. Adios, funny red-nosed lady. Satsuki-chan, no. Damn it. What do you think? Sad, right? Desperate, isn't it? What a lame hope. You guys won't be able to do a thing before you punish me. No, it isn't. What is that, Maeda? Who says I'm desperate? I'm not like that at all, right? Maeda-kun? Of course, I'm really sad that Satsuki died, but we have fully inherited Satsuki's will. You won't stop us anymore. After I came to Hosuki Academy, I'm more full of fighting spirit than ever. Monokuma? You suddenly take your medicine? There's nothing scary about burning raw spirit. Alone, though? He's not alone. Mikaru? From this moment on, I will retract my previous solo actions. I will cooperate to put Monokuma into the trash. You just had a Byakuya moment. Oh my god. But it's a lowercase god. Mikaru-chan, what kind of change is this? Don't be mistaken, I'm not trying to play friends here. I now owe a debt. Because of that, I have to pay it off. Why is this Mikaru suddenly doing this again? Miss Mikaru just needs to do as well as before. Poking around and having fun. Why should you care about Miss Iranami? Shut the hell up. Iranami Satsuki is a human being that deserves respect. I've seen this for the first time ever since I have been born into this world. To be able to give up one's life so purely for others. That is what I would call true hope. It was a life that guy tried to save anyways. I'm fed up with murder games that are not fun. Murder games that are getting boring. Doesn't that seem like the perfect time to beat you down? Monokuma. No, rather, the mastermind controlling you from the shadows. Huh? No matter what you try, you can't do anything. It's already beyond your own grasp. No. It was you who kept us in the ballroom. We made up our minds right before they died. You will run out of ideas. We already know a lot more about you than you can imagine. Now it is you who's cornered. Well, I don't know, but everyone is working hard. So I will too. I'll do my share for Haruhiko's sake. Me too. We will definitely get you, Monokuma. I'll avenge my friends who have died so far. What's with these guys? Rather than despair, they're burning with fight alone. You guys are bluffing. You can't do a thing anyways. You will find out soon that you're only left with despair. Well, Kinjo's kind of down and out. And so the fourth class trial ended. We lost two of our friends, Haruhiko and Satsuki, who couldn't be exchanged for anything. The will that the two gave us was definitely engraved in our very souls. We're not afraid. A step by step from now on will be the big leap towards true hope. Kinjo, Kinjo. Can you hear me? Answer me if you're awake. Immediately after leaving the courtroom, Mikaru, who finally offered to cooperate with us, disappeared before we could call her. Everyone except for Mikaru went to check on Kinjo's condition. However, Kinjo was silent. We had no choice but to go back to each of our rooms with a little cluttered feeling. Who is it? Is it morning? It's not even 7 a.m. So, Kobashikawa? Akane? Mikaru? Kinjo? It could pretty much be anybody but Teruya. Teruya wouldn't do this. Hey, come out already, Maeda. Wait a minute. That sounds dude. It sounds boyish. Okay. Sorry for calling you a dude, Ray. I'm really sorry. At least you were not Teruya. Why did you take so long to answer? Was it because to feed information to the mastermind? Mikaru? What? What's this moody expression you got? No, just Mikaru coming to my room. I wonder if the sky is going to divide in two now. It can't be helped. As I mentioned yesterday, I decided to cooperate with you in order to defeat the mastermind. I know that, but why did you suddenly change your mind? I told you, I'm going to follow Iranami's idea. Atano was a great person, but Iranami is more than that. Just because she's a human who can... As if, Maeda. Don't make me say useless things. You're always drowned in every story, aren't you? Sorry. Also, now you're calling me by my name? So, are you dissatisfied? Want to be called incompetent for the rest of your life? No, of course not. It's better to be called by my own name. It was a bit embarrassing to be nicknamed incompetent, though it was accurate. I haven't admitted it yet. I don't want to be friends, but I want to have at least the courtesy, as long as I have decided to cooperate. Makaru tends to be weird like this. Usually, she looks down on us and ignores us, but she doesn't do it recklessly. She admits something that can be admitted whenever necessary. Stop talking about nonsense. Come to my room right now. What, Makaru's room? What are you doing today? Suddenly asking for that. I don't care if you got feelings for me, so shut up and follow me. I'm getting tired already. We already know how her mind works. Oh, Ray-chan, did you bring my Edekin? Taira, Otori, and Kurukawa, too. Hey, don't do that shit show. How many times must I repeat that you're not my friends? Everyone, what happened? It looks like Makaru came out of her room at dawn and called us one by one. Teruya, those goggles. This one, it was Haru's. It was left in the dressing room. I brought it. This is an atonement for myself, and also my own commitment to continue Haru's will. Is that your crown of thorns? We need to move forward. I wonder if, like, Teruya really likes goggles if you give them to him as, like, a gifts for free time events. You wouldn't really guess that until here. Right. Well, I mean, like, a really impossible to identify foreshadowing. That's right, the efforts Kobashi Kawakan and Satsuki-chan, we should never forget. The will of our friends who have died so far, but we can't just be sad anymore. Now it's the time for us to fight back. Bit by bit, very little, but surprising, is starting... It's starting to change and starts to move. Our hope is not to find... we do not need to find our hope, but to create it. Only these words struck in my mind. So, why did you call us? This is an operational meeting. As long as I have decided to cooperate, everyone here will beat up Monokuma, and together we shall escape. Ray-chan, being an ally makes you feel so reliable now. Everyone here? Wait, what do we do about Kinjo? When I look at that guy, he's a statue. Doesn't respond to anything. I don't even know if he will ever wake up, but even if he wakes up, I'm not certain if he will ever recover. Then, of course, if we have him, you should be comfortable. But throw away your lingering regrets. We have no choice but to strike out because I felt the fighting spirit from you. I chose to cooperate. Makaru, staying away from us till now. Have you found out something? A whole pile of things. Those of you who have not found anything are more curious. First off, wait a minute, there can be a surveillance cameras here too. Are you okay with that? Are you an idiot? Of course I know. That's why I called you into my own room. My room is the only one that can jammer surveillance cameras. To put it bluntly, it's instant jamming. Instant jamming? Otori-kan, do you know what she's saying? Not at all. In short, my room is safe. The words here will not be leaked to the mastermind, and our appearance is not visible. Really amazing. How did you do it? Power room, audio-visual room, and I assembled some useful parts from the warehouse. That's now... Okay, so is she an electrical engineering professor? If you figure out what kind of professor she is, that's how I made it. It's only a temporary measure, so even if it's not perfect, it will be safe. Makaru, you just didn't spend time alone. Of course not. You better thank me for inviting you. So, the first goal is to find out the identity of the mastermind? Of course, that is the most important thing, but before that, let's look at the preconditions. Preconditions? Why did we get involved in this division? I mean, that's the biggest mystery. Why did Hopeseek Academy become this way? Why doesn't anyone come to save us? But that's the first thing we said with the others, right? At that time, there were both Kinjo and Makaru, but no conclusion was made. No, unlike then, there's one fact I do know. At first, I thought it was a hypothesis, because it was nonsense, but I was convinced after yesterday. Makaru, you don't mean... Yes, it's a fact. A considerable amount of time has already passed since we entered this school. And the truth is, we don't remember it. Mikako-chan. Also, I knew that you would react when we talked about this, Mikako Kurokawa. What's this all of a sudden? It's obviously deeply grateful to Satsuki. Deeply grateful to Satsuki, and thanks to her I was told to cooperate in order to punish the mastermind. Before that, there's a traitor we must catch. Mikako Kurokawa, you know something. Honestly, I'm dubious about your true nature. Tell me everything you know. If you can't, then I'll consider you on the mastermind side. No way, is this true? This is nonsense, right? No. Trust me, If you're innocent, tell me the facts that you know. Do you know that there's not only 1 or 2 suspicious actions you've done so far, right? Why did you shut your mouth? Are there any circumstances that you can't tell us? Mikaru, don't... That's too much. Kurokawa has to calm down before... Hello everyone, it's 7 a.m. It's time to wake up. Let's have a lively day. Okay, that's irrelevant. Let's continue. Morning announcement. It's already 7 a.m. That's not the problem right now. Oh, right. I almost forgot. I don't know if anybody's good night, but I want everyone to please go to the gym. I have great news to inform you. So, see you soon. What? I'll leave this story for later, but just so you know, I won't move on this time. Mikako Kurokawa. What's the great news? It's only been a day since the trial was over, and suddenly... Well, we'll just have to go now. We have no choice. Mikaru and Kurokawa. The air that seemed to flow smoothly got tense in an instant. In this tense mood, Monokuma shows up to add even more anxiety. Why can't Kurokawa just write it down? Yeah, she needs to write stuff. We all go to the gym, as Monokuma said, without concealing the unpleasantness. There was a reality waiting for us that we could not imagine. The first thing we knew as soon as we entered the gym was that Kinjo didn't come. If Monokuma didn't say anything, it only means he still fainted. But that fact is so casually forgotten because of a more shocking scene unfolding in the gym. So it's not Kinjo being like hung or something, right? Huh? Who? A guy? Kisaragi Hanzo! He's here, right? Bring me Kisaragi Hanzo. Yep, there he is. Everyone is here. The class trial ended yesterday, and I'm sorry for calling you again so suddenly, but no matter what, there are things I had to tell you. It's a bit early, but I'll announce the motive. A surprise motive event introducing the transfer student. This time I transferred to Hope Seek Academy. The super high school level inventor, Yamato Kisaragi-kun. Oh. Not Hanzo. Please greet him with an applause. Kisaragi? Nonsense. Yamato ni. A suspicious figure who suddenly appeared as the transfer student. With his appearance, the situation began to unfold like a roller coaster. It's gonna go down by only 1. Wait, now it's to climb back up again though, right? And then move back, yeah. Yes. And that's where this will end. So, let me click off of it so the music stops. I, of course, got it wrong. But there was no evidence whatsoever that Suzuki was even there. Right? So, there was no way I could have gotten it right. I'd be really surprised if anybody else did. I mean, you could just pick someone out of the hat, and it would be Satsuki, but that just didn't really give you the opportunity. I don't really feel bad about it. I'm not like, oh, I'm an idiot, or I don't feel like I'm an idiot for not guessing that one. I could be a genius and still not guess that one. Zephyrum's translation. Again, kind of the roller coaster of Zephyrum's translation. It seems to be relatively good. Of course, there's a typo here and there, but not necessarily any more than I would make. In the Chapter 3 trial and the Chapter 4 trial. So that was like surprisingly good. However, the Chapter 2, Chapter 3 Deadly Life, and Chapter 4 Daily and Deadly Life are just like not even close to as good. Which I don't know why the inconsistency. It's like he just decides to go real hard on the trials. They tried to do the trials really well. And then once he was done with the trials, he went back maybe to do the Daily and Deadly Lives in a rush or something. Yeah, I feel like he did the trials first, and then he went back and rushed the story sections. Because the trial, the translation was reasonably comprehensible. It was actually a good experience. And that was like workable, right? You can actually, there only need a couple adjustments. There are a couple typos. And that was a really well-designed, even though it was like you couldn't guess it, it was still a really well-designed, plot-wise and logic-wise trial. That was actually pretty good. It was short. Again, it was like they keep getting shorter with each successive trial. The Chapter 2 trial was like the long one. They just keep getting short. Chapter 3 was shorter, and then the Chapter 4 was even shorter. But you have fewer characters to talk, so maybe that's why it gets shorter. But it was still good. So that I really liked that. Yeah. Cool. So now I'm really confused because it's not Hanzo Kisaragi, it's Yamamoto Kisaragi. I would expect there's only like one Kisaragi. There would be like father and son because the one doesn't age. Like, you know, I didn't expect. So maybe some alternative names or something. I don't know. Something's weird going on with the names. I'll have to see if my confusion could be resolved there. But we'll pick that up from here. Two recordings from now, because I got to go back and do this trial on the original build. But 2 recordings from now, I'll pick up on this and go.